Ekaro, good morning, sir. No, in Akwana, how do they say? Ututu Omanu, good morning and welcome to Breakfast Central. Thank you for starting today with us. We hope that you have had a good night and you're excited about getting the day started. You're welcome to the show for the next 3 hours. We're streaming live on YouTube. We'll be taking comments. The interaction on YouTube is very welcome. It's been very engaging and it's been very interesting to see your takes and your thoughts. So you feel free to agree, disagree, ask questions, make comments and contributions via News Central TV live on YouTube. I am Olive Emodi and you're welcome.
And I'm Benga Borough. You're welcome to the program wherever you're watching, from North Dakota to South Dakota to Ojota. You're welcome to Breakfast Central. This is where the action happens. We're ready to hit the ground running this morning. So many things are happening in the country and in our nation and on the continent and in the world. And we can't wait to dive into a deep dive analysis, give you all the information you need to know, and stay with us while we rock and roll. You're welcome to the program once again.
I was expected to say into the universe and into the stratosphere and all these other things, but
I'll leave that one for the Ministry of... No. Ministry of Aviation and Aerospace.
Ah, valid. Okay, over to you, Johansson.
If you guys have said all of that, what do you want me to say?
There's still a little bit more.
All I can say is welcome and assalamu alaikum and Karo, whatever. All you say it again.
Otutuoma, not Otutu, please.
But we're back. That's what matters, and it feels really good to be back on the air. Thank you so much for being here. Breakfast Central, no doubt, is your one-stop shop for every single thing concerning news and current affairs. And we're here like we never left. It's just a few hours back, and while we're on the air, a few hours back, we did have developing stories. Just before you slept, there were breaking stories as well. Someone is pointing fingers at the federal government, saying they know every single person you see on TikTok by name. You know them. And while that was going on, someone was told not to represent Nigeria somewhere. And while that was going on, some people just woke up and said, this money the students are paying for school is too cheap. Let's increase it by over 200 and something percent. So all of these things happened in a spate of 24 hours up until now. And it's our duty to let you know what the story really is and what happened. But then again, welcome to Breakfast Central. My name is Joe Hansen.
Wow, you are Joe Hansen. I thought you were Sunderaji.
No, I am not. Okay. The last time I checked, my initials are J and H. So that's what I remember.
Okay, at least I know your name.
Okay.
I'm not denying that I know your name.
Okay.
However, there's someone that is saying that government knows the names of people that have been causing terror in our country. But let's get straight into it. Of course, your comments are welcome on YouTube. You can go and drop your thoughts. Kaduna-based Islamic scholar Abubakar Gumi has claimed the Nigerian government knows the identities and location of terrorists operating in the country. Speaking in a 1-hour and 4-minute interview posted on Tuesday on DRTV, the cleric dismissed suggestions that he secretly interacts with terrorists and bandits, insisting that his engagements with the groups are carried out with the knowledge and presence of security agencies. According to him, he does not negotiate alone but works alongside the police, military, and other security operatives during such efforts. Sheikh Gumi also revealed that some of the dialogue missions took him deep into the forests. And these forests where the bandits are believed to operate and involved visits to traditional rulers, including emirs. The Islamic scholar, who has also previously advocated dialogue with armed groups in northern Nigeria, maintains that negotiations should help reduce violence and encourage disarmament. Let's take a look at these videos and we will come back to share our thoughts. But before we share our thoughts here, as well as take reactions on X, you can go on YouTube and tell us your thoughts about Sheikh Gumi's stance on terrorists and terrorism and the role of the federal government in Nigeria. We'll take your comments in a moment, but let's take a look.
The government knows every terrorist by name and by location. I don't go yellow. I don't go to the terrorists alone. I call the police, I call the security, everybody. I will go to the MES, another place. In fact, when we went to one terrorist, I went to even with women with me. Go to the bush. The thing is, you didn't see it before the camera was not concentrated on it. I don't go hello.
Now, if you watch the 1 hour, 24-minute long interview, there are several things that Sheikh Gumi talked about. When asked about the Christian genocide, he did say that Christians are not the only ones that are being killed, that as a matter of fact, Christians kill and Christians are killed. And then he also went further to mention that he's a preacher. When asked about the allegations of being a terrorist apologist, I'm using those words lightly. He said that he's a preacher and he does not judge people and he loves these people for the benefit of the doubt. We need to give them the benefit of the doubt. And he did say that terrorism didn't start today. It started as far back as 2009. And he said, the terrorists have a certain perception about the government. The terrorists have a certain perception about the victims. But the question we've not asked ourselves is, what is behind the terrorists? What are they thinking? What is pushing them to do what they do? Which is where Sheikh Gumi comes in to hold space for these people, understand their mindset. And like he did say, he doesn't go there alone. In fact, he did also say in the interview that in some cases, he's gone with some women to see them. He said, and I quote, that it's easier to see these terrorists, that they know where they are in the forest, that you can go with your team as an organized group to go and have a meeting or a conversation with them. And he queried why it is easier to see the terrorists than it is to see the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. And I don't understand what that means.
I mean, what's the correlation?
I don't understand. Say it's easier to see them and have conversations with them than it is to see the president. Is everybody supposed to be able to easily see the president?
So it would be nice, maybe today, I'll take time, because 1 hour, 30 minutes interview is quite long.
Yeah.
To know the part where he's condemning this terrorist, if he ever did, or because how do you defend the loss of lives? The fact that people are removed from the displacement of citizens, the destruction of their villages in the name of their brothers, or trying to make a case for them. It's madness. And for the federal government and the military, it's not only Sheikh Gumi that said it. We spoke to a young man yesterday. He did say that some of these terrorist hideouts are known. So if it's due to the fact that you don't want collateral damage, innocents to be caught in between, I can understand. But there are other ways of extracting kidnapped victims without... That's why some of these armed forces units have special forces units that can go in, quick, rapid response squad, extract the innocent people, and then, kill the bandits. Because the confidence is so annoying. It's almost like they're spitting on the face of all well-meaning Nigerians, the way they do their videos.
Yeah.
You mentioned something yesterday. In the past, they will cover their faces. They don't cover their faces anymore. They are flaunting, and then you can't trace their accounts. You can't geolocate them. I mean, it's 2026.
So it would be great to have...
It shows you're not serious about the loss of lives of your personnel, of innocent Nigerians. And what is the focus of the government seems to be 2027, because they don't even acknowledge that this incident happened anymore. They don't bother.
I mean, it would be great to have a conversation and understand. I don't know if a conversation is what it is, but many Nigerians continue to accuse Sheikh Gumi of apologizing or being a terrorist apologist, because the sense behind it is these people are kidnapping. They've made kidnapping a business. They've made killing a business. What logical excuse on the face of the earth can we give to them, or can we give for them? People who have absolutely nothing to do with what the terrorists are doing, innocent, are the ones that are suffering. If they are angry at the government and they take their anger to the government, or they take their anger to the military, that's not saying that we approve of that, of course. But what exactly is their anger is what we do not know, right? He talked about many would argue that the quality of life is poor. Everybody is struggling. Everybody is facing this quality of life. So the innocent should not be the one that will suffer it. Yesterday we played the video of Ogba. I don't know if we have that still. The young man who's within the den of terrorists. How can you logically explain to us the sense behind how Ogba and Miriam and all these hundreds of people who are being kidnapped, tortured, being beaten in terrorist camps? Now, it's not just that they are being kidnapped and they're asked for ransom. Their families are asked for ransom. While they're in the kidnappers' den, they are beaten. They are thoroughly maltreated. They're mishandled, assaulted, and battered. So even when they're returning to their family, they're like a shadow of themselves. So I don't know that, I understand Sheikh Gumi's point of view, especially because he's someone who served. He served in the military before, so I shudder to understand the perspective. But let's hear from Joe, and then I'll take comments from YouTube and head to X.
Well, so far so good. We are in a complete fix. When I say complete fix, we really don't understand what's going on. We're in a country where just yesterday, Daily Trust newspaper decided to take it upon themselves, as well as Premium Times, to highlight some of the grave concerns. And what are the concerns? 3 military personnel, 3 military commanders, they say, have lost their lives. And just yesterday, a former president spokesperson, Bashir Ahmed, also put out a tweet to mention one of the lieutenant colonels who had died. A video was also circulating yesterday that showed how the people were celebrating the lieutenant colonel because, one, they said he was known to be very dogged, rugged, very smart, brave, intelligent, and so on. And the picture you see there on the screen, that's him. That's Lieutenant Colonel Umar Farouk. What is the story? The story is that he has been killed. By who? Of course, by the same persons that many, according to
Sheikh Gumi
recent stories,
goes
exactly
enclave for tourists.
Many. I mean, this is a video where he had just been welcomed by the community, of which he also helped in ensuring that they were protected. And see the way people loved him; they were celebrating him, you know, because of his bravery. But this same man is no longer alive, and 2 others. Now, let's remember that just a few months ago, another general was killed, and the video was put online. People are worried now that the killings are not just civilians.
And it's not just non-commissioned officers.
Exactly.
You have senior officers.
There you have their images. Yeah. But, Binga, what worries me is that there has been no statement from the top. Statement that says, oh, we acknowledge so and so, or you're commiserating, or you are sharing condolences with the families, and you are stating what will be done next. There has been none. However, the press, which is of course, the fourth estate of the realm, is working tirelessly to dig up how it happened, what happened. Oh, the press is the one even releasing these stories, letting Nigerians know that, see, oh, this is what we found. We spoke with so-so person and so on and so forth. But just to bottle it down into one place, and the point is, are we at war? That's the question I think everybody should ask.
It's very obvious.
Because the killings is indeed becoming worrisome. Commanding officers are murdered. Nigerians, people are being kidnapped like it's nothing. The other day it was Abuja, where residents were complaining that kidnappers came and picked people up in their homes and they left. They came back again, and they're giving blow-by-blow account. We've not seen any of the security operatives stand up. But what I'm worried is whenever it's election time, Binga, we now see different kind of armored tankers coming out. We see a show of force around the areas or streets and communities, like blowing sirens, telling people it's D-Day. Why is it not D-Day?
But while we're facing an existential threat, they seem not to be doing anything about it. If you go to Defense Headquarters Nigeria, the Ministry of Defense, and go through their Twitter feed, they give progress reports on Operation Eastern Sanity, Operation Hadinkai, 40 soldiers. Sahara reporters allegedly that 40 soldiers were killed. They would deny and then give clarification on terrorist attacks.
Did they acknowledge the death of?
They didn't. There's also Operation Fansanyama. Troops delivered tactical blow to terrorist network in Kadam Forest in Sokoto. There's also, as a day ago, multiple full control of locations, Operation Hadinkai, foil multiple coordinated terrorist attack. Sustained intelligence led by Operation Wellstroke yields terrorist neutralization and arms recovery in Benue. I think they need to. They also do this on Facebook, by the way, but they need to interface. You need to have you need to give us a daily situation report, because, I mean, Nigerians are being killed on a daily basis, so it won't be too much to ask. The reasons why, Joe, I might feel they don't publicly acknowledge some of these deaths, like the officer that lost his life, is because this protocol, the Nigerian Army's Wives Association would normally be the one in company of senior officers to break the news to the widow of the slain officer. You know, woman to woman. It's easier. And then Army headquarters, the Secretary of the Military, there's a few protocols that happen. And it's part of what we'll discuss today, because it's shocking that some family members hear about the deaths of their loved ones.
Online.
On social media.
So there should be proper social media use policy for even members of the armed forces, because we have Gen Z soldiers these days that are also on social media and all of that.
All right, let's take reactions. And I mean, I'm glad that you all have highlighted these points, very key elements. I'll take comments on YouTube and then we'll head to X. Ochodi says, someone said they are our brothers. Another said the DG knows them by name. Olive, no be everything them they teach personal. Good morning, my people. Good morning to you as well. Mr. Johnson says, he only chooses to dance around it. Thank God Gumi has confirmed this. It's so sad. He said federal government knows this, but only chooses to dance around this. Thank God Gumi has confirmed this. It's so sad innocent lives are the ones being traded in this kind of market. Prince Achibade says, I think he's saying the truth. They are aware of where they are, but chose not to engage for reasons best known to them. The guy on your show yesterday morning would agree with him. Chukau Chama says, Gumi is right. There's nothing he's doing that past Buhari and Tinubu's government are not aware of. Remember what General Abacha once said about insecurity? Whenever it lasts more than 24 hours, the government knows about it. And Frank Obute says, statement from the top is all about 2027 and how Peter Obi will never be Nigeria's president, said the mandators. Mr. Johnson also says, imagine losing a gallant soldier like this, and so many more have fallen. If Gumi has confirmed this, he's lying. I think I should have. I think he should. Lying. Sorry? It
says if
Gumi has confirmed this, if he's lying, I think he should have been arrested. But if this is his truth, then we are in a very deep problem in this country. Keep the comments coming on YouTube. Let's now head to X and see what's being said about the latest discovery. This is the first time I'm listening to this man. He has said it all. Federal government with its security apparatuses are complicit in the insecurity engulfing and plaguing Nigeria. Please, Nigerians, we need to change this government. They are incapable of protecting the lives and properties of citizens as they swore to do. This is, next tweet says, these are bold claims by a man who is not scared to show you who he's friends with. Now you know why they won't arrest him. If he talks, it's game over. The day he stops to talk, it's game over. This man has universal life insurance, LMAO, the kind that only God can withdraw. Wow. The next tweet, I have never liked this man, but you see what he said here is the most accurate statement, and no government at all levels in Nigeria can debunk it, Olamilekan says. So Gumi is the terrorist negotiator, and that means he struck a deal that allows ISWAP and Boko Haram to kill everyone. I think the reason who Ribadu is calling them his brothers is because he's afraid the terrorists will target them next, according to Odumodu White. These are the comments there, and Prince Omef on YouTube says Gumi is 100% right.
So Nigerians are agreeing with Sheikh Gumi for the first time.
So they are agreeing with a portion of what Sheikh Gumi said.
Because of the point he's made, which is somebody eventually has the guts to say, listen, federal government, you know these guys.
And Governor Dauda Lawal
exactly said the same thing.
So,
but the government doesn't act on
these guys.
Disinformation.
So the question is, I mean, I know we're going to have this conversation later on. The question is, why has the federal government decided to slow its pace in acting against these terrorists?
Particularly, you see the tweet, I also aligned with one of the tweets that was shared there. If what Gumi was saying is a lie, and he was making statements that put the government in bad light, we know our government, they would have picked him up. They would have picked him up at this point. But because they believe, I mean, there's some element, this is a case of no smoke or no fire without the smoke, that there's some element of truth to what he's saying is why they will not be able to do anything about it, or they haven't done anything about it. And this is not the first time. So Nigerians agree to the tune of the fact that the government knows where these terrorists are. However, there's a lot of disagreement. It's just that the clip that went viral is the clip that many are reacting to. But he did also say that we need to understand where these terrorists are coming from, their mindset, and what fuels them to do what they're doing. And he's always held that position for the longest time. And that's the carrot and stick approach that many of us hear about.
Does he tell them to stop what they're doing?
Well, that one I cannot say. That one I cannot say. He says, basically, if they are willing to stop, he believes it's a negotiation.
No. But what are the agitations?
So that's where the concern.
So it needs to be written down. And at this point in time, who do you call your brother? Is it one who kills at will? Yesterday, along the is it Akure or was it along the Ibadan Express, Akure Ibadan, along that area? We did hear, and people were putting out videos yesterday. There was a standstill. They said the bandits had come out from the bush and attacked a bus and picked people. So it has now become a trade where, okay, you know what, Monday to Friday, let's just pick people. And there's no way we would say that security experts, security agencies are not aware that these things are happening. What Nigerians are asking simply is, what has been done? E.g., they've been kidnapping in this particular area. People have been crying, they've been complaining. Okay, fine. Going forward, we want to see battalion XYZ.
Yes, and then that end area completely.
And stay there. Nobody's
we don't want to see, you killed 20 bandits, 30 Operation Hadinkai kills, neutralizes, when there's still a clear and present danger. You've not cut off the head of the snake. You need to go to their enclave, flush them out, make sure this business is not sustainable. Disengage the business model, stop it completely.
So I think
you can't be paying
and I don't understand what
billions in ransom payment. What do you think they use those monies for?
I mean, they
use it to restock.
So my own exactly.
It emboldens.
That's exactly what I wanted to say.
You're fanning the flames of insecurity the more, and they know this at the top level.
That's what I want to say.
Some people at that top level are also guilty of paying ransom payments just because they don't want the government to be embarrassed that there are groups of people in the kidnappers' den. So it's the easier way out.
So my summary on this would be just to say, like Haila Ogbenga has said, that the more we do not flush out terrorism, the more we're going to have arms in circulation. For every time ransom is paid, we are empowering and emboldening insecurity. Unfortunately, people will still pay ransom because their loved ones are in kidnappers' den, just like they're raising money for Abba, for Miriam, and the third lady, I've forgotten her name now. So they will keep raising money, and the terrorists will keep empowering and emboldening themselves and stocking up on machinery. But the response that we want right now, the response that Nigerians want, is for the federal government to have a conversation with Nigerians and come and clearly tell us that they have no idea what Sheikh Gumi is saying. Can they clearly, boldly, authoritatively come out head to head with Sheikh Gumi and say, to put it to him that all he's saying is a speculation and he should name names. Let names start dropping. That's when we'll start to take them seriously. Let them deny it so that Sheikh Gumi can drop names. But let's quickly move to our next story. Just as Nigerians were grappling with rising fuel prices over the weekend, the cost of education has now been added to the cart as students of the College of Nursing Sciences, Nnamdi Azikiwe University Teaching Hospital in Nnewi, Anambra State, took to the streets in protest over a sharp increase in school fees. The nursing students marched within the college premises on Tuesday, chanting solidarity songs and the slogan, "We no go gree," while demanding an immediate reversal of the hike. Eyewitnesses say the protesters moved in large numbers toward the office of the provost, insisting on meeting with school authorities over what they described as an unbearable financial burden. The protest comes despite early assurances from the Students' Union government that discussions were ongoing with management to resolve the issue. Students say the fees were increased from about 90,000 naira to as high as 580,000 naira, while additional costs for hostel accommodation and feeding have pushed the estimated annual cost of studying at the college to over 1 million naira, prompting outrage among the nursing students who complained about poor facilities within the institution. Let's take a look. What we're saying here is an approximately 544% jump in school fees. How do you go from 90,000 to 580,000? Make it make sense. You know, what is the logical explanation?
Exactly.
In a country where overnight or in the past week, we've seen the pump price of petrol jumping. Nigerians are struggling. Yesterday, I went on a rant on my social media because to fill up my tank, which I even consider, many have considered a luxury, to fill up my tank because I was afraid of the tank getting empty. It didn't even get to half. I spent 75,000 naira in 2 days to move my tank to just after F. Now, if you're asking and wondering what the issue is and how did they jump from 90,000 to 588,000, this is the breakdown here. Tuition fee, 250,000. Maintenance and caution fee, I don't know what they're maintaining, 50,000. Library, 50,000. Medical fee, 30,000. Examination fee.
So what's tuition?
I don't understand what examination fee is. Portal fee, what is portal fee?
Online.
What is transport?
Create your space, portal.
What is that? Accreditation fee, 50,000. Accommodate.
What is that?
What is accommodate maintenance? Look at even the.
They want to accommodate you.
What is accommodate maintenance?
They want to accommodate you.
There's maintenance, then there's maybe it's accommodation maintenance for the hostels.
They accommodate
and even a school, what is supposed to be an education, they can't even spell.
They can't spell.
Accommodate maintenance. I don't want to believe that this is from a university. I don't want to believe that this is from a higher institution with such very, first of all, terrible English.
It's College of Nursing Sciences, annual regular fee. The truth is, guys, we are in a fix. I think that's going to be my key word for today. We are in a fix. And we're in a fix not just in the insecurity or security aspect, also in a fix in our educational system. What we saw there is just the tip of the iceberg. We're going to see more. And what do I mean? As the economy continues to bite harder, even though the federal government doesn't see it that way, they say the economy is doing well.
So we've turned the corner.
They've turned the corner. The economy is biting really hard. Just yesterday, transport fares went up. I saw people trekking. People had to walk halfway and then, of course, board a bus.
And can you really blame the transporters?
You can't. So things are starting to become very chaotic. Now, you have students who are paying just a little, money. I can bet you that money, Olive, that they were paying before, is even more than the minimum wage. Isn't that so? It's more than the minimum wage.
Yeah.
Now, a parent who works so hard and try as much as possible to send the daughter to the nursing college and then pays that money, you're now telling the parent that, listen, whatever you've been doing all through the years, your money will no longer send your child to school. Start thinking of alternatives for your child. If you are a man, a woman, and you have children, I'm sure you're also aware that the school fees of children has increased in the past 2 months, back to back. I'm aware of that. I'm a recipient of that pain. Because what you paid 5 months ago, guess what? As of last month, I didn't even get a message. It was just an information that, it has changed. And we said, why didn't you inform the Parents Association? I said, oh, sorry, yeah, but it is what it is.
Well,
and somebody is saying, oh, no, everything is working fine.
We can't delude ourselves to think everything is working fine. Come on. It's one thing for Reno Omokri to go on X and support City Boys and tell us how Nigeria...
climbing
mountain and singing national anthem and telling us how Nigeria is better. It's another thing for Nigerians to actually state what their reality is. And it's touching everybody. It's biting us. Even the people that are pretending that they're not being affected, they're being affected in one way or another.
I'm sure they know the number, of course.
Of course they do. Go on YouTube, drop your comment, News Central TV Live. When we'll come back from this break, we'll take comments and then we'll share with you our next story. Please stay with us. Welcome back to Breakfast Central. It's still Wake Up Conversations, and we're currently analyzing the strike happening in Nnewi by the nursing students who have protested the sharp jump in cost of school fees from 90,000 to 580,000, representing approximately a 544% jump in fees, which does not make sense to us and doesn't make sense to anybody, quite frankly. If you're making an increment, 100% increment is even highly criticized. 544% is wild, it's beyond explanation. And then add that to the current state of reality where Nigerians are grappling with really difficult, state of living. We're talking about a brain drain happening. These are the same people that will finish when they graduate. You'll be begging them to stay here. Of course they won't stay here. It's why they will look for opportunities abroad. because you're asking them to pay through their noses. They're not having the best quality of life, the best quality of education. When they are done, you will train them, suck as much as you can from them, and they are gone to Europe or Saudi Arabia, somewhere where they feel like they will be able to earn better. Let's take comments on...
But before we take comments, I just want to point out one thing.
Please go ahead.
The minds behind this increment,
they
live in an alternative reality.
I think so.
Because do you think all the parents of the students won the lottery? Or did the government announce a 500% increase in minimum wage? If that is not the case, then what justification do you have? What do you want? You want them to sell their houses, their properties?
You want them to go and steal.
What do you want them to do? Or how can you justify? And then you look at the line items, very ridiculous things that are there. What if you're paying tuition? Shouldn't tuition cover your exams?
250,000 naira.
Yeah. So what is the meaning of
tuition fee,
tuition,
transportation fee,
tuition,
accommodation
fee.
Maintenance?
You know, it's ridiculous, and there's no way this was.
We're calling on the College of Nursing Sciences.
I don't know how the students, how the parents are going to, how they're able to accommodate this increment. It's a lot.
We are calling on the what they call them,
authorities.
The authorities in the College of Nursing Sciences in the NEWI to come out and speak up about this increment, and we are urging the Anambra State government to wade into the conversation. It is not sensitive, it's not reflective of our current realities in Nigeria, and it's totally unfair to do that to any student. But now let's go to a third story that has generated a lot of reactions. Before we do, let's take reactions from X. First tweet here.
Okay, everything politics says our fathers took to the streets, chanting against the very barriers to education that we are battling today, skyrocketing fees, turning dreams into distant mirages. That's deep. But pause and ask yourself, in a Nigeria where quality education is already a luxury, how many families can truly afford it now? How many parents even have over 1 million naira sitting in their accounts? Thank you. Yet, here we are. Watch Naouth, NEWI School of Nursing, jack up fees from 90,000 naira to a staggering 580,000 naira, practically 1 million naira when you factor in the hidden cost. And for what? So these nursing students can graduate into jobs paying peanuts. It's a national shame that their cries will likely echo into silence, the hike standing firm while opportunities slip away for the next generation. Thank you. Well, Daniel Rega says, I see a lot of people condemning the Nnamdi Azikiwe University teaching hospital school fees hike from 90K to 580. And they do this while slamming the present incompetent government. Of course, the increment is 100% unjustified, 544% by the way, unjustifiable and condemnable. That's ridiculous. But same people who criticize now support Peter Obi and the ADC, knowing fully well that Obi literally did the same when he was a governor. Over 80% fee hike, according to numerous reports. He said according to numerous reports. Not the same figures, however, same situation. Education in Anambra State is not meant for the poor. Peter Obi says, that's what Daniel Rega says, reminding Nigerians of what happened in the past. Well, we'll fact check that and also let you know what the percentage was. What I don't understand in this country is that the politicians will embezzle money in trillions, but make the poor man on the streets to generate money for the runnings of the country. Just look at schools that should be subsidized for everyone, especially the poor, is now inflating school fees. When people cannot pay, then they drop out. The same people will go on air to say Nigerians don't like going to school. Who will be our messiah in this country? Oh, Fumi, you asked a pertinent
you don't need a
question,
messiah.
sorry.
We all need to speak
collectively
with one voice.
From 90K to 580K, as of now, Abina still Iran and Israel fight caused the increase. Cause petrol people say now the fight caused the increase in price. So which one can cause the increase in the school fees? Well, wow, that's much. Well, why will the government care? After all, they travel out to get medical attention. So our medical institutions here means nothing to them. And final one. It says the number of young girls enrolling in and graduating from nursing schools, particularly across the southeast, is highly underreported. It appears many of them have realized quite rightly that most courses offered in universities these days have little practical value in the real world, except for a few. Nursing, on the other hand, provides a clear and immediate pathway to employment, both locally and abroad. In a couple of years, the scale of this shift will become much clearer. My biggest fear, that's what we're going to take, my biggest fear right now is the fact that Nigeria, again, is slipping to a state of losing a lot of medical personnel because, like we've said, these are young girls. And I can categorically tell you, Benga and Olive, I mean, I do have a sister who has worked in the banking sector and so on. She's in the medical field now, and she's a nurse. She's also going through a similar thing. She's graduated, she's moving to the next level. And she will tell you, whenever we speak, that there are a lot of women, nursing wives, young girls who finished from, polytechnics and so on. They just suddenly say, listen, I want to go into the medical field. And the payment plan is very interesting for them. It makes it easier for them to. So she tells me a lot. And I'm thinking now, if you're moving something from, like I said, 90,000, Mr. Chibueze, who earns penury, who earns very little, like 30,000, 40,000, civil servant, who gets, let's say, 70,000 minimum wage. He will be able to pay that 90,000 for his daughter. But now you're making it 580. The question is, what is he going to sell? How is he going to ensure that his daughter finishes? And bear in mind, the way Nigeria is going, the daughters or that daughter can be his hope in the future.
And the only thing you're paying for is not just that hope. I mean, you have to clothing, feeding.
There's a lot.
You've forgotten that. It's not just the 580. There are other expenses.
Transportation.
That you incur.
On YouTube, Prince Omef says they want them to go and take the student loan, yet Nigerians are suffering. This government either does not know or does not care, and things keep getting worse. Good morning, Prince Omef, and good morning, Bobby James from Germany.
Sorry, guys, before we wrap up and go straight to the headlines, the federal government said it subsidized education, right? And what is that subsidy platform?
Yeah, I've forgotten it now, the student loan.
The student loan.
Nelfund.
Nelfund, thank you.
I mean, it's a loan. You still have to pay back.
I don't know if you're thinking what I'm thinking.
I mean, is the economy buoyant enough? Are they stimulating the economy for businesses to grow? So people are still paying a lot for power.
Can Nelfund save the day, like for these students?
Anyway.
Could Nelfund have been critically also channeled towards the nursing colleges like this so that you can start to build the future doctors and nurses who will take over from these ones for just 90K?
If you ask me now, who I go ask? Let's keep the conversation going. We will then now head to our top stories to share with you what's happening, but we're still streaming live on YouTube. News Central TV Live is the handle, and we, of course, will be taking your comments throughout the show today. Let's share with you our headlines.
This morning on Breakfast Central, President Tinubu transmits the FCT 2026 budget proposal to the House of Reps. Court of Appeal invalidates PDP's 2025 Ibadan Convention. And Ogba school collapse. Early warnings help save lives, says the Lagos State Emergency Management Authority. And fuel cost relief, federal government to accelerate provision of CNG EV infrastructure. And of course, we bring you the newspaper headlines where you can join in and share your thoughts with us. Breakfast Central continues shortly.
The Court of Appeal of Nigeria, sitting in Abuja, has nullified the People's Democratic Party's Ibadan National Convention, dismissing an appeal filed by a faction within the party and upholding an earlier Federal High Court judgment that invalidated the gathering. The appellate court ruled that the convention failed to comply with key provisions of the Electoral Act and the party's constitution, including requirements relating to congresses held before the convention and proper notice to the electoral body.
The appellate court ruled that the convention failed to comply with the key provisions of the Electoral Act and the party's constitution, including requirements relating to congresses held before the convention and proper notice to the electoral body. The convention held in Ibadan, Oyo State, had produced a factional leadership within the party, deepening an already existing crisis as rival groups continue to battle for the control of the party structure ahead of the 2027 general elections. To help us unpack the legal and political implications of this judgment and what it means for the future of the People's Democratic Party. We're now joined by former Special Advisor to former President Goodluck Jonathan, a member of the People's Democratic Party, Comrade Jude Imagwe. A warm welcome to you, Comrade, and thank you very much for joining us this morning. First of all, I would like to say congratulations to you.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I would like to say congratulations to you because you've been in the forefront of challenging the Ibadan Convention, and the Court of Appeal has ruled in your favor. What exactly does this appeal court ruling mean for the legitimacy of the leadership that emerged from Ibadan, and what's your general take on it?
Benga, Shehu, and Ole, thank you for having me. You see, most times people will always...
The network is attempting to test our boundaries. Network better behave itself. Let it not do to us what the cost of petrol is doing to us this morning. But the PDP has had multiple cases, really, the Ibadan Convention with the multiple court judgments. But let's hear, I believe we're reconnected.
You know, just looking at that video, our correspondent was there, members of the press from different parts of the country visited. You can imagine the logistical challenge, the millions, if not billions, that was spent to put this together. And but the Turkey-led faction are saying they're going to challenge the judgment of the Court of Appeal. So we'll see how that goes. And the implication of what the Court of Appeal did yesterday is that all these things you're seeing on the screen is null and void. But I believe we have re-established connection with Comrade Jude Imagwe. Please go ahead and share your thoughts with us.
So sorry, the network is what it is. We have no control over it.
Yeah.
What I was saying earlier is the fact that once there are processes, no matter how emotional you are, your emotions should not alter what the process has stipulated. And that was why from the inception, I frown against why we should go ahead with Ibadan. It has been thrown away, but have we learned any lessons from it? That again is my pain with our party, whom at this time should position herself as opposition. Do you know the number of months we have wasted for refusing to do just what was right for 1 week? Do you know the amount that has been dissipated, wasted, spent, just for refusing to do what would have cost us less for 1 week? Do you also know the energy and the degree of hatred, bitterness that has been expanded just because we failed to do what was right for 1 week? I tell people without contradiction, when certain persons...
It seems we're having connection issues connecting with Comrade Jude Imagwe. We hope to fix the situation as soon as possible, because this is a very interesting and important conversation to have ahead of 2027, when people are speaking about the erosion of the opposition when it comes to politics in Nigeria. Hopefully, we'll be able to connect with Comrade Jude Imagwe very soon.
Bring us a whole lot right now. You had mentioned something that what you see on the screen there is a convention that was held in Ibadan, and a lot of finances was put in. That was the governor while he was still in PDP before he now agreed to move to the APC in that
That's a throwback
video. That's a throwback right now, because he did put out a statement too. We're talking about the governor of Zamfara State, and he said he had to move because of these issues with the PDP. He wasn't sure that if he remained in the PDP, there would have been any way to resolve the internal crisis. However, the FCT minister also put out a statement yesterday. He had a mini press briefing, not the regular media chart that he had. And part of the things that were mentioned is, listen, this is not the time to fight. A former president of the Senate, I'm talking about Senator Bukola Saraki, also spoke and said, listen, let's squash the litigations. Let everybody come together and let's rally around and work together. But you would wonder why the child is trying to separate himself from the father. And by that knowledge, I simply mean why the Turkey-led faction is trying to run away from the, in quotes, the parent body of the PDP. It's because the child simply feels that the father is not staying true to being a good parent, or to being a parent that will take care of him as a child. Because the father is saying, listen, I'm your father, but I'm also father to another child whom I am truly invested in and I'm taking care of, and I'm talking about the APC.
Yeah, of course.
And if you look at it very well, the FCT minister said, listen, while I remain in the PDP, we're going to give our full support to the APC. And one could only wonder, must your child, do the same? The child has a mind of his own. So you're seeing this breakaway, this conversation, trying to move into another level. But I don't know if we have our guests back, because there are a few questions that we really need to look into. Comrade, are you back?
Yeah, I'm back with you, and I've been listening to your narrative of the father and the child.
I'm sure you get my narrative. It's only right that
I do not think that it's indigent. I do not think that. Yeah.
Go on.
Yeah, but let me clear that, please. You see, my brother. It is unfortunate that people will just feel that where we are is just about the FCT minister. That is why you remember I have said that it's irritating to feel that the problem of the party is just tied to the FCT minister. I take an exception to that. That is not true. If the FCT minister had made a suggestion, what is naturally expected of party leaders is to sit down and tackle it and not to create something different. My brother, 95% of the persons that had accused the FCT minister of saying that he wants to support the APC Bola Tinubu-led administration in the build-up of the 2027 election are today in APC. So who was wrong? 75% of the persons that are fighting him to say that, no, this thing you have said is not right, are fighting tirelessly not to allow PDP to be on the ballot. So who is wrong, who is right? 95% of the people, see, if you want people that want to tell you the truth, and if you see people sit to tell you the truth, I do not have a reason to sit down and say the FCT minister is the problem, or this is the problem. I'll have a reason to tell you that we as a people have refused to respect what is ours. And there are instances where sacrifice, compromise, and discomforting yourself can actually lead to solutions. When we had that Justice Omotoso judgment that requested that we should go back and do what was right and what was the needful, your refusal to do it, was it a meditation of the FCT minister? You deliberately refused to do what was right. And see, in politics is not a religiosity. Politics is a game of number and an ability to convince the other person. Politics does not translate to an emotion of 1 + 1, you assume. You don't assume in politics. It is either it is or it is not. Are you winning or you are not winning? And every time people struggle to win. Where were we before to have its hiccup? Members of State Working Committee, chapter chairman, said to the national secretariat of the party, and that is why in all this brouhaha, I said the man that have caused it has eased himself, is seeking his sabbatical and enjoying somewhere in the world, which is Ambassador Ilya Damagu, our former national chairman. He created all this problem. Where is he being mentioned today? He's not being mentioned. If he had stamped his foot on the ground and had followed the path of honor, followed the path of constitutionality, respected our constitution, I personally wrote him in multiple times. I said, sir, now that the court has made this pronouncement, it will take us only 5 calendar working days to solve this problem. Can we go for what congresses in this place that have been mentioned? Can we do this zonal congress, the state congresses in these places that have been mentioned, and come back? If we come back, the court will no longer have any foundation upon which they will rest their judgment. They said, no, the judges in it probably are too small and I do not have the capacity to. But wisdom is not given by age. It is given to some people by God. They refused, and they gathered in Oyo. Do you know the amount of money that was expended in that convention in Oyo? Do you know the lives of people, the risks people took across to go and gather in Oyo? Do you know the sacrifice people made? If you compare that sacrifice to 5 days, wouldn't we have been on the path of justice today? I always tell people, see, if there are options, take the option. I was the chairman of electoral primaries in Gombe. during our 2022-2023 primaries, National Assembly. I conducted for Billing Balanga for the House of Rep and the Senate. When we finished the House of Rep, the current honorable member, Honorable Ali Issa Jesse, won. Current Senator Tony Yaru won. He won the primaries. The lady Ajia Binta said she didn't like the result. She wrote to the appeal panel. And the man that won there, Anthony Yaru, said he was going to court. They were going to court. And they concluded the plans of going to court. Sat with the lawyer. The lawyer now requested that they would need one of the members that conducted the primaries to to come and give his own testimony. I went before the court. I said, look, before we even started going to court, I met them in their team, in their conversation. I said, look, what is the problem? They want to go to court. I said, yes, you can go to court. But will you listen to my own candid advice? There are still window periods before court. Now, if you go to court, litigations are not something you go into court and determine to the judge, this is when I want you to give me judgment. The judge has his own right to tell you how he or she will prepare judgment and the time they want to prepare judgment. That is going to create problem between your supporters in Gombe. Why don't we go back, since this lady had appealed, why don't we go back and conduct these primaries? And now it's only the senatorial primaries you are going to conduct. These are the strategies you can even do to come out better. Since she accused you of winning by 1 vote, and that 1 vote is the hand of God, you can now go back and make it Trinity, so that it becomes God the Father, God the Son, and God the Holy Spirit. He said, their concern is that, am I willing to go? My brother, I was supposed to travel on the Sunday back to the United Kingdom. Then I was still studying. And I said, no, look, this is party assignment. We could go on a Thursday. I could arrive on Friday, conduct it on Saturday. I will leave that Saturday night. I'll catch my flight on Sunday. I made that sacrifice. I went back. We conducted it. The man still won, and he now won with the magic. Now, there was no reason to go to court. He is today a senator. It's a sense of wisdom listening. The court says we have done ABC. Even before we approach the court, have we done what was right? No. When the first court of instance now tells us that this thing we have also not done, it's truly not right. Shouldn't we have had to that wisdom to say, let us do what is right? It is because they are not looking for what is right. Everything is about the FCT minister, the FCT. No, it's wrong.
All right. So
it is wrong.
So now that we are where we are, what is the future for the PDP? Just yesterday or 2 days ago, the announcement was made about Governor Dauda Lawal moving to the All Progressives Congress, making it 31 out of 36 governors within the APC now. And a huge chunk of these governors have moved from the PDP to the APC. What is the future for the PDP?
Now, my dear sister, thank you, Olive. You see, people always look at one direction and they forget that history is a mirror for us to reflect on. And when you are looking at the future, you must carry the knowledge of the present and history, harmonize them to be futuristic, to think of the kind of future you are building. Of everything that has mirrored to where we are, there's one part that they picked from the FCT minister that they said some of them held on to say that is their problem when he suggested that we should not have a presidential candidate. Before the FCT minister suggested that, I had also proposed that. I'll give my reasons. When we prepared as at where we were to say we were going for presidential election, we were divided. Should we have consolidated on the state we have and expand on the number of states we want to capture? Yes, the answer was evident. Are we also prepared to go into alliance with other political parties, providing the leadership so that we can now provide the presidential candidate under an alliance platform? If we had done that, we would have been comfortable. There was a time in this country where we had the regional parties. The AD was in charge of the West. The CPC, AMPP were in charge of the North. While the PDP were fully in charge of the South. When we saying at that time AD was not presenting presidential candidate, they were not pursuing presidential candidates alone. They were capturing states, increasing in their numbers of states. That is how political journey is. It's progression. If we have seen and have studied to ourselves that we have a problem, we would have sat. Where we are now, my sister, is the fact that one of the last persons I ever imagined was going to leave was the governor of Zamfara, in all sense of honesty, because he's a fine gentleman. Whatever would have provoked him to eventually leave, again, is because of the fact that where is the platform he wants to seek election? If he wants to seek an election, he will look for a platform. And I told you from beginning that the way ADC also hurriedly put themselves together, people are finding it not a place of comfort to go to. That is why you see people still run back to the position as against running to the opposition. In 2015, when it was evident that PDP had serious challenges, people were leaving the ruling party to join the opposition. But in 2023, build up to 2027, people are leaving the opposition to the opposition party. It means the opposition is not really doing what an opposition government should do. And with all these crises, you cannot be an opposition. Opposition does not suggest that standing on the street and insulting the government in power. Opposition suggests that even from your members in the National Assembly to your members in the state and the state you are controlling, there should be a resemblance of an alternative to government that suggests that this is what you should have done. And the PDP should have even done it better because we had ruled the country for 16 years. So we have the experience in the government. We are now out of government for 8 years, Buhari, and 2 years, 3 years down President Tinubu. Then we should again have a basis of comparison. If we have thinkers, if we have strategists, if it was about the people, if we listen to ourselves, if we sit down and approach the table without bias, if we say, can two work together except they agree and we agree without bitterness, then we would have done that, but we are not doing it. So, however, where we are today, it's not too late. And I wrote a memo to senior government, senior party members, and I said, look, if we are forgetting the 2027 presidential, should we forget 2031 comeback? And in preparation for 2031 comeback, it means the party must be strong in states, in the National Assembly and in the State House of Assemblies.
If I'm to go by what I hear you say, the PDP should completely, for now, focus on putting its act together, not in preparation for 2027, but for 2031. Is that your position?
Now, let me clear what you have said. When you say not in preparation for 2027, but in 20, I said clearly in my words that we should put our house together. If we can reach out to people to have a joint presidential candidate, we can. But for our party structure, we must focus on ensuring we win more states back to PDP. Even our governors that have left, they have PDP in their flesh and in their blood. Probably what would have pushed them down is the platform to contest. Let them contest, but we must win them back to PDP. We must fight to increase our seats in the National Assembly.
Okay, Comrade,
we must also ensure not only winning the state government, winning the state houses of assembly. Then we will have the oneness to think of as an umbrella party to produce a presidential candidate. But where we are now, PDP alone cannot produce a presidential candidate that will unseat the incumbent president, except all the other parties that claim to be opposition, accept to come together and let that candidate fly under one political party ticket. And I think that only political party ticket that have that spread, as it is now, if we agree, is PDP.
Now, Comrade Magwe, I haven't said that you're being realistic and pragmatic, that the PDP should not bother fielding a presidential candidate in 2027. A senior member of your party has openly endorsed President Bola Tinubu as his preferred choice for the 2027 elections. Does it mean that this is the official position of the PDP? Because it's very, very influential. I'm talking of a person of the FCT minister. And does it mean that you and other members of the PDP will have to align behind his choice and adopt President Tinubu as your consensus candidate if you're not fielding your own candidate?
No. See, the options are open. The options are open and are very clear. In 2023, the G5 then, Governor Nyesom Wike, then Governor of Rivers State, Governor Ontom of Benue, Governor Ipiazu of Abia, Ugwanyi of Enugu, including Governor Sheyi Makinde of Oyo, and some other former governors, Governor Fayoshe, several other former governors, they had a position that they were angry with the zoning of the party. And therefore, since they had resolved that the position should go to the South, they were going to support it, including our reverend leader in Lagos, their father, Bode George. They all agreed that they were going to work for another political party Some chose the APC, then the presidential candidate, Bola Tinubu, currently president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Some chose Peter Obi. Governor Tom specifically was very clear. He worked for Peter Obi. I am also very certain the governor of Enugu, they were clear they worked for Peter Obi. That of Abia, there was nothing those from the east could do against Governor Peter Obi. Then His Excellency, the presidential candidate, there was nothing. So if His Excellency, the FCT minister, have said that I want to support the incumbent president and is advising the party, it is left for the party to sit down and officially communicate. The party has not done that. See, the party is not surrounded by one voice. We are surrounded by voices of people. So if the FCT minister has a sympathy because he's currently the FCT minister, and you cannot deny the fact that what he's doing in FCT is unprecedented. You would never have believed that there was a minister for 8 years. Let's leave that, because all these things that have actually, again, like I suggested to someone close to him, everything he has done today in FCT, because of this crisis, people are not discussing it. But I must be very honest with you. FCT was not what it was 8 years ago under the FCT minister. You must give that credit to him. If he has an affection for the incumbent leadership of the country, based on what the government has given him an opportunity to do, and based on what he feels he wants to do more for the government that will better the lives of Nigerians and the citizens of the Federal Capital Territory, he has expressed that it is therefore left again for the party as a body to take a position. But you must not also forget that where there is history, there is a reflection. Was there a history yesterday when they had resolved that they wanted to do ABC? Yes. Was anybody forced or coerced to do what he or she didn't want to do? The answer is no. So when we say they want to do this, it's an airspace. What will be credence is if the opposition are able to put themselves together and suggest. But do you see any resemblance of? I'll give you an instance clearly. When we started the Electoral Act journey.
If you can do that.
Yeah, sorry, Olive, you can go ahead.
I said if you can do that in less than a minute, we'll appreciate that as we've run out of time. Okay.
So let me just say it in a minute. The opposition must choose their fight. And in choosing your fight, you must not be emotional, you must be practical. When we had the issue of the Electoral Act, they singled out only the transmission of electronic result, real-time and unreal-time. I said the problem there was not the real-time or manually computation. The problem and the solution there was trust. You cannot be fighting something in isolation. We should seek trust. If we are going for trust, whether manually or electronically, once the process is trusted, nobody will have fear. We single that alone. Now, where are we after the Electoral Act has been signed? There are a lot of components of it that we should have actually discussed. Those components are now limiting the party's presence and the hope of being evident or physical in the coming elections, because there are conditions that every party now needs to meet. How many parties will juggle up to meet those conditions? We didn't discuss that. They just feel that it's not about election. It's not about election. You must educate the citizens about every policy government is carrying out. And the oppositions, we are not doing that.
All right, Comrade Judy Magwe, thank you very much for joining us this morning. And I'm sure that members of your party, as well as the opposition, is listening. We'll continue to follow up with the updates regarding the party and its progression rate. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you all for having me. I'm sorry about the technical glitches. It's not that of Professor Mahmoud. This one was just network. Thank you. And God bless us all.
Thank you.
All right. Okay. Let's tell you what's coming up next here on Breakfast Central. Coming up next, President Bola Tinubu transmits FCT 2026 budget proposal to a rep. Okay. Nigerian government knows terrorists' name and location. Plus, we'll look at the insecurity crisis so far. So good. The federal government and fuel cost relief. We'll look into that as well. Stay with us.
Welcome back to Breakfast Central. Islamic cleric Sheikh Ahmad Gumi has leveled a staggering accusation against the federal government of Nigeria. He claimed the authorities know exactly how the terrorists are and who they are, where they are, but are choosing to withhold this information. Gumi was reacting to suggestions that he knows and interacts with the terrorists and bandits fomenting trouble in the country and he advocates on their behalf.
According to him, he does not go to negotiate with the terrorists alone. He goes with the police, military, and other security agencies. While addressing the speculations during the chat, he said, and I quote, "The government knows every terrorist by name and location. I don't go alone to negotiate. I go with the police, military, and other security agencies." This allegation raises serious questions about transparency, accountability, and the government's counter-terrorism strategy. And to help us understand this and see where Nigeria is in her fight against insurgency and counter-terrorism, we're being joined by Brigadier General Sani Usman, retired, who's a former spokesperson of the Nigerian Army. Thank you very much for joining us, sir.
Good morning. Thank you so much for having me.
All right. Sheikh Gumi claims that he has shared coordinates and names with security agencies that remain unacted upon. He says that, the government knows where these terrorists or insurgents are, and the government knows them by name. General, you've been the voice of the army. In your experience, is it possible for a civilian cleric to have more granular, actionable intelligence than the entire Directorate of Military Intelligence?
Well, first and foremost, everybody is entitled to his or her own opinion, as the case may be. And what you are talking about, I believe this is a situation of about 4 or 5 years ago, because that was when they had the privilege of going around some of these bandit camps and all the rest. But however, information can come in from so many sources. So even if it comes from an individual, I think it's not surprising. And given the fact that, in fact, there is even a kind of intellectual who has done a marvelous job. He spent 10 years. There is no nook and cranny of where these bandits were that he has not been to. And possibly you need to read his book. I'm not patronizing him, but when you read that book, I'm a Bandit, by Professor Rufai, you will understand. So basically it's not something surprising. Then the issue again, human intelligence is very, very key in fighting insecurity, regardless of whichever hue or it is. So it's not surprising that he will say so. At the same time, again, is it recently, because the dynamics of this insecurity are just too complex that you hardly understand the way it is. But the truth is that if, for instance, yesterday there was bandit attack somewhere in Jiganshi, in Katsina State, and you get that information and it has not been acted on, then it's something entirely different. So we should not be talking in the past. We should be talking about what is it in the present, moment. Do you have the information? Yes. Whom did you give the information? Has the person or the institution act on it? I think that is the most important thing that we should focus on, rather than all these speculations and all the rest. But the long and short of it is that there is no way government alone can deal with security challenges without the support and cooperation of the various components of the Nigerian society, regardless of who it is. And that is why we kept on talking about the whole society, not just a whole government approach, but the whole society approach, because every component or every individual in Nigeria has a role to play, in dealing with the security challenges as it is.
All right. General Usman, there's a lot of talks going around, especially concerning the death of military personnel. I'm sure you've gotten messages and information about the sad demise of some of the commanders. Recently, the newspapers, print, investigative journalists, security experts are digging deep to find out why is it that these generals have died, and yet there seems to be no statement made officially to talk about their death and in the manner in which they've died. Are we seeing a situation where those who are fighting security are also withholding information from Nigerians to, in other words, bolster the confidence of the people to understand if they are winning or the insurgents are winning?
Rightly, every right-thinking Nigeria is concerned, about recent happening, especially in the northeast, as it were, losing such precious, lives, our officers and men, and particularly their commanders, talking about Major Mariga, Lieutenant Colonel Elias, Lieutenant Colonel Farouk recently, and so many others, of course, that, the soldiers themselves that were buried recently. It calls for concern, rightly. But then when you are dealing with insurgency, coincidentally, part of I'm a student now, STs, and I'm interrogating, the communication strategy of the Nigerian army in counter-insurgency. So it's a delicate balancing between operational security and the public need to know in respect of that. Yes, I think the best thing is when you are dealing with security challenges of this nature, you are supposed to come clean with the public, regardless of whatever it is, because it paid, especially when I was Director of Army Public Relations. There were instances we have suffered, casualties and all the rest. We came out and told the public that this was what happened and those are the kind of things. And people were quite appreciative of the fact. I quite agree with you, there is need to, bring people up to speed what is happening, what's in the context of security challenges. But a lot of people do not understand what is going on, especially in the Northeast. Take, for instance, the recent attacks, what brought them, what brought about the attacks. It is not as if the security forces, particularly the military, as if they were sleeping. No, they are not. In fact, it was as a result of the concerted effort, dealing with them in, Timbuktu and the Timbus and the rest of them. So splinter groups of these insurgents are the ones who are carrying out these attacks, and unfortunately, they are far more familiar with the ground. Unlike in the past that they carried out dawn attacks, now they go attack in the night. Well, of course, it is not an excuse, as it were, but I can rest assure you, it is not the way people think it is. I'm not downplaying it, but again, there is need actually to bring the public up to speed about what is going on. But the problem, it is not as the way some people portray it as it is. It is not that. But yes, we have suffered some defeats. We have lost precious souls. Some people have been abducted. And of course, the propaganda on the social media, particularly by the insurgents, is unprecedented. And there is need to check that up. The truth is that the soldiers are doing marvelously well. I had the privilege of talking to some of them, and of course the leadership, and I can rest assure you it is not the way it is. And of course, I call on those who are responsible to please, on behalf of the military, to talk to the public in respect of this issue, to give Nigerians a sense of belonging and assurances. And one other thing that's became manifest because of this lack of information, some people that are really hobnobbing with these criminal elements are compounding issues. Take, for instance, when there was an attack in a particular place, the people were even rejoicing. Specifically, I don't want to mention the community in Borno State. And so we need to conscientize the public that it is not the military against these insurgents, it is the whole of Nigerian society against these insurgents. Then that is issue number one. Issue number two, people have been, people have been apprehended. They have been, investigated or interrogated because they were even given coordinates to these terrorists about the movement of our troops. And of course, helping them in laying ambush for the troops, because because they are far familiar with the ground than the troops, as it were, they will plan an attack, but they know that reinforcement will come from a particular unit or battalion, as the case may be. They will make sure that they lay IED along those routes. And of course, infrastructure is also key to fighting insecurity. And their roads are bad. And of course, they bury them in the night. By the time you spring up to go and reinforce the unit, you will enter into ambush. There's so many complexities. But I think the most important thing, there is need for more enlightenment. There is need to inform the public. There is need for constructive engagement to make sure that the people that are assisting these criminal elements stop. They should understand that it's counterproductive and it's not helping matters. Then most importantly also, we need to support, we need to encourage our troops because of the sacrifices they are making. Unlike in the past, the down attacks, you can see them in broad daylight. Take for instance, the attack in, which unit is it? It's around 12 a.m. So, but it's not an excuse actually, but then you should understand the circumstances under which these troops are operating. And they have people that have been assisting. And beyond that, I call on the society, particularly the leadership, traditional and religious leaders, to help prevail on the parents, because you see, the military, they are the one fighting, they are the one doing the non-kinetic and all the rest. There is need for the government. And I'm so happy that the Borno State governor recently called for a holistic or expanded security council meeting in his own state. And I believe very soon you will see the outcome that some of these things will be needed in the board.
Now,
but we need to support and encourage them.
Thank you, General. You said we need support and encouragement. The army authorities need to give authorities, they need to give rather information as at when due, and they need to also conscientize Nigeria. Let's talk about something that really bothers me, as I have friends in the military. I also have a background in the military. In other times, you see the utmost sacredness at which they treat information on troops that have been killed in action. But in Nigeria, families come online to discover that their loved ones have been killed, or we see gory pictures. It's almost like some personnel even so quick to release this information. My question to you, General, is what's the use of social media policy in our armed forces? Are there rules guarding it? And why do we see this information even before the army authorities have informed the bereaved families of the passing of their loved ones? Their pictures are flooded on social media, the information is out there. Can it be managed in the context of today's fast-moving digital world?
Of course it can. And coincidentally, last week by now, I was in 6th Division area of responsibility, precisely Port Harcourt, where we interface with the senior non-commissioned officers in respect of the use and misuse of social media, by military personnel. And then there are two things in respect of that. First, the issue of command and the issue of the individuals' responsibilities. And of course, I may even add the third one, where the institution will come into play by constructive engagement with the telecommunication companies or service providers as it is. Now, going back to the issue of procedures of letting families know, there are of course extant procedures. Take for instance, if someone is in action or wounded in action, there is a procedure to inform the family. Usually it's a common responsibility. And instead, it will be really awkward and disheartening for one to hear about the demise of his or her loved one through the social media as against hearing it from the authority. And the authority has a procedure in the sense that whenever there are casualties in that respect, the families are informed accordingly, delegation is sent. But of course, because of the bureaucracy, some of these soldiers or some of these personnel, they were even on attachment to some of this unit. Take for instance, somebody will be serving in a unit. Originally, his mother unit or his unit is somewhere in Ilorin. And of course, he has been attached to a unit in Dikwa, who is also fighting in Ngoshi. So the procedure of checking the record and knowing the address, and that is why the issue of even next of kin now at initial stage, once you write it with once and for all, I think now it's subject to review every one year or two years, I cannot remember precisely, to know whom to contact in case of such thing. So there are procedures, but then that is where the social media and the media itself comes into play. The fact that you have gotten information, do not be in haste to break the news because of the consequences or the impact on the families of that person and the morale of the troops and the morale of the Nigerian society. So you allow the military first and foremost to informally inform the family. Then, of course, the military, it behoves on them to expedite action, given the fact that this is 21st century, fourth industrial revolution. It is information-centric. So they cannot wait for your bureaucracy. So you have to devise a means of taking care of the family, informing them, you know, this is what is happening to their spouse or the loved ones, as the case may be. Then coming to management, of course, I know there are instances. Way back 2018, the Defense Headquarters established social media policy. And I know that the Army has also one, and I believe the other services have, beyond the policies, there are also directives. And I know that of the Army is being reviewed. I don't know whether it has been promulgated yet. It has taken care of this. But then the issue now is that almost everybody is having, you know, one handset or the other, and of course they subscribe to so many social media, platforms, as the case may be. But most of them do not even know the implication of such things. Whether you are online, offline, some of these devices, they can show certain things that ordinarily you would not like, you know, the public to know about. So it's a constructive engagement, continuous enlightenment. But most importantly, they should be able, every unit should have a dedicated video cameraman and photographer and a news reporter whenever they are going on whatever operations they are going to. Therefore, they don't have to rely on individual soldiers' hand devices, because in most cases, it is not the insurgency. Most of this information comes across to the public from the individual soldier. So the commander there on the ground, usually they search the soldiers before they even go on operation, so that nobody has any recording devices other than the official recording. And of course they know it. Even internal security, part of the principles is justification, and you cannot justify if you don't have a record. So basically these are things, and I think it's a work in progress. They are learning their lessons. And I think the earlier they equip them with this kind of thing, the better. Then most importantly is continuous, enlightenment of the truth on the, responsible use of this social media. But then it is not just the truth, even the media as it is. You will have to understand. In fact, there were other best practices, across the globe. And objectivity and the fact that you know something, it does not mean that you will just go about town talking about it, but you have to weigh. In fact, I was talking about the triple S, the source, the implications, and what is it will be the consequences if you tell that story, even if it is true. So these are the kind of things. So it's a collective responsibility. You people, when I talk about the you people, I'm talking about the media itself. You have a role to play in ensuring that, look, we should respect these procedures and the morale of our troops and their families, because it will be foolhardy for me to read on the social media platform that I've lost my son who has sacrificed himself for the benefit of the Nigerian society. Let it be far more dignifying and respectful the way we treat, our killed in action troops, our wounded in action troops, as the case may be, and their families also.
You're absolutely correct. I mean, it will be such a shame for one to find out about the loss of their family members, and there has to be an ethical way for us to share news like this, a more ethical use of social media, so that families can be given enough time to grieve before they share it with the public. We're going to break, and when we come back, we'll continue the conversation with you, so please stay with us, sir.
Thank you so much for staying here with us. Breakfast Central, we're looking at the insecurity situation in the country, and we do have a very seasoned guest, one who has spoken for the Nigerian military, and not just that, he's also sharing his thoughts on how best we can handle the situation. Our next set of questions, Generalsman, is one that concerns Nigerians. From a look at our poll, we've seen reactions. The reactions include the following. One, Nigerians are wondering why there has been a slow or a snail approach to actually eradicating these terrorists or bandits. That's one. Two, they're just around the corridor of the popular areas, roads, express, name them, where people travel, commuters use regularly. There seems to be constant kidnapping week in, week out. And Nigerians are also wondering, why is the Nigerian police or military not aware of these things? Even though they see the stories, they're informed, why have they not acted? For most Nigerians, I use the word most because the percentage is huge, they feel like the Nigerian military is aware of what's going on, but have just chosen to keep silent. For the military, we've seen soldiers come out to say they want to take action, but they are told by their orgas at the top not to do so. So how do we, which of these stories do we hold on to? And what do you think is affecting the Nigerian military from going full throttle, all out, and handling the situation, seriously?
Thank you so much. I can understand the concern. It is not just every right-thinking person wants a better and more secure and prosperous country. Unfortunately, what we are witnessing now speaks otherwise. But and that is why we are making a terrible mistake, in the sense that the security challenges, basically, they lump it on the military. The military is just one aspect of the security architecture in this country. I think there are about 29 others. So this knee-jerk approach to security challenges, that is what is causing the problem. But coming back to kidnapping and all the rest, the best and most credible recipe against kidnapping actually is to stop the payment of ransom. But of course, you and I know that it is easier said than done, simply because, and you only say this if you have not been a victim or what your loved one has not been somehow. And that is why they take undue advantage of the vulnerability of an average Nigerian. They know that we so care about each other. Even somebody who has not seen 1 million, by the time you kidnap his loved one and you demand 5 to 10 million naira, somehow, miraculously, they will still go and get that amount of money. So first, we have to make that impossible to get. Take, for instance, somebody was even talking about issues of some countries. Take, for instance, even Benin Republic. If you are looking for 3 million safer, you can never get it in cash. But here, 500 million, you can always get it. Why is it so? So basically, it goes back to the issue that I was talking about. We tend to, lump everything on the military. There are other components of the security architecture. There are other components of Nigerian society. And to address the issue about people quote and unquote saying that, it is order from above that they say they should not strike, I think you are just being unfair to the security forces, because if you know what they go through on a daily basis, I cannot imagine, myself with my troops and somebody would tell me that I have to withdraw, and I'm seeing the kind of devastation these people are causing to human lives and properties in this country, and somebody will give you an order. But of course, being a journalist, you go to the highest source of information when you are getting your information. No system is perfect. Usually disgruntled elements here and there. And thankfully, I had the privilege of serving in the Northeast, and I know. And I was giving an example yesterday when we were discussing with one of your colleagues, in the sense that a journalist, he was asking me, I said, look, I remember when I was in 7th Division, right from the general officer commanding down to the last rifleman, we all carry our personal weapon. In fact, we have stand, because when we study the patterns of these terrorist attacks, we know that they attacked during, sunset prayers and all the rest. From 4 o'clock up to somewhere around 7, 8 o'clock, we will be in our trenches with our personal weapon, right from the general officer commanding, who was a major general, talk less of other commanders and everybody. So the long and short of it is that people fail to understand that Boko Haram terrorist tactics has not changed. You either come to them or they come to you. It's as simple as that. And they just have this skewed idea that they are fighting in the name of God or in the name of religion, which is not true. We know that it is not true. So you people, or it is a point of duty to encourage the troops that, look, it is not so, that you are fighting a just cause, not the other people that are just doing for self-aggrandizement and worldly things. That is one. Then secondly, the other issue is that I am quite aware of the fact that the government is doing all it could in terms of equipping the military. Just recently, I was made to understand even their salaries and allowances have been increased. So we have to look at all those things to make sure also that whom much is given, much is also expected. But at the same time, we have to also encourage them to see that, look, soldiering profession is not a tea party. It's a noble profession that you ought to sacrifice even your life for the well-being of Nigerian society. So it is, you shouldn't be distracted, in performing your duty. But at the same time, you need to be supported, you need to be encouraged, and that is what we expected. Not all these divisible tendencies that this one has said this and that said this. And that is where we are missing it. When you are faced with security challenges of this magnitude, you are supposed to be on the same page. Or what I mean by on the same page, we should not be politicizing security in this country. Regardless of the extraneous variable, which religion you profess, or which political party you follow, and all the rest, Nigeria comes first. So the issue of security is non-negotiable. Everybody should be on the same page. And of course, we need to mobilize and galvanize the Nigerian society. And it goes back to what I was saying in the earlier on. It is really, really ridiculous that some people are celebrating, Boko Haram attack on our Nigerian, soldiers or a segment of the Nigerian society in the same state. What brought about all this issue? So we need to mobilize Nigerians. We need to unite Nigerians so that they will understand that we are facing an existential threat. The military are doing very, very well to some extent, in the sense that they go beyond their mandate. Take, for instance, they even constructively engage the parents of these criminal elements that are in the bush. And it has been yielding results. So why don't we take it up from there to see that the other component, because in fighting insurgency, if you put it on 100%, the kinetic aspect is less than 40%. So what happened to the 60%? What are we doing about it? What is our time-tested conflict resolution mechanism in this country? Not that any time you have security challenges, you just have this knee-jerk approach, call in the military and all the rest. There are components of Nigerian society that are supposed to be supported. Take, for instance, the 3 tiers of government, federal, state, and local government. You know that local government is not working. Some of these issues could have been dealt with at local level because they know themselves and all the rest, despite Supreme Court ruling and of course the presidential directive, yet we are not doing this.
General, if I may interrupt you at this point, because we are almost out of time, and I quickly need to make reference to something you said about how it's a bit unfair to security agencies when they make statements like they are waiting for authority or they can't make certain moves. But I don't know if you would understand the concern of Nigerians, because Sheikh Gumi,
I do, quite right. Okay. I do. And of course, there were instances such things where...
Sheikh Gumi is not the first person to have said that the government knows where security agencies are and they should act. Governor Dauda Lawal did say that from his phone he can see these terrorists. He knows where they are. He knows when they're moving, and if he gets authority, he'll be able to deal with them. If those are not the exact words, but that was what he was driving at. Yesterday, we had a young man who was soliciting for funds for the kidnap of a young youth corps member named Abba. And he clearly said that everyone there, that they were all aware that these bandits were lodged before and after, that there were checkpoints in Gidan Kanu, and that the bandits were lodged somewhere where they were all aware of, and that there was even a checkpoint, one before, one after, where the terrorists were lodged. But it feels like there's all this information out there and nothing is done. And when we have security experts, the one thing they all say is that there's a lack of political will to deal with insecurity.
Well, I don't hold brief for the NYSC. Coincidentally, quite a number of people forwarded that message yesterday. And what I did, I also contacted the DG NYSC. And unfortunately, because it's a confidential information, what I could have read what he sent to me in the sense that that issue is not correct as it were. And in fact, there was even an investigation by the previous or immediate past general officer commanding 8th Division Nigerian Army in respect of that issue. So you see, there is so much disinformation. And that is why I made reference to the issue of going to the highest source of information. And that is why also the issue of investigative journalism, because quite a number of things are there, especially being, pushed in the social media domain by these non-state actors. Of course, because they know that that will be the reaction. But it's left for us to thoroughly investigate this thing to know what is the truth. Because in most cases, people will just share without even looking at the content or reading through to find out whether actually this thing is true or not, or how realistic it is. That is just by the way. And that is why we go back to the issue one of you raised in respect of bringing the public up to speed in respect of these issues, the progress made and the efforts and the challenges. Once in a while, it is not just the armed forces or the security forces, but the government also had to. And I'm so happy. I think there is an effort by the Ministry of Information and National Orientation and Crisis Communication and some other components of the government to really be briefing the public in respect of these security challenges, so that whenever somebody comes up with any information, you can also put it side by side with the available public information at your disposal to see whether it is true or not in that case. I quite understand, naturally, and in any case, all these non-state actors, they are not doing anything other than filling a vacuum. Whenever you see such security challenges, they are predicated on the economic, socio-economic and political atmosphere in that state. And I made reference to the local government. We have bulging population that have not been constructively engaged. People are very enterprising. They want to fend for themselves, but they cannot even have the means of fending. Those non-state actors, they know the vulnerabilities and they take and do advantage. Take, for instance, the kidnapping is being fueled to a large extent by the menace of informants. These informants are giving peanuts, to snitch on people. And rest assured, there is no kidnapping that has ever taken place without an informant. And in most instances, there are people that are closely related to the victims of this. So we have to be security conscious, and we have to put certain things, our institutions, to be up and doing, so that people will not resort to self-help.
All right. Well, there's a lot to talk about, but I think we'd like to anchor this conversation here, and we would look forward to hear from the Nigerian military, especially on the recent situation that's bedeviling different states, Borno to mention. You also have Kaduna and the likes. But we want to say thank you so much, General, for speaking with us. And we look forward to have you again in the nearest future.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. We'll go on a quick break. When we come back, we'll take a look at what happened in a school. The building collapsed. Were the students there? Did they take note? Somewhere in Lagos. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Panic gripped residents in the Ogba area of Lagos after a popular school building suddenly collapsed on Monday. Fortunately, no lives were lost. Video circulated on social media captured the dramatic moment. A three-story structure came crashing down. Officials of the Lagos State Emergency Management Agency, LASEMA, say prior warnings about structural concerns helped ensure that students and staff were evacuated before the building gave way. News Central's lead correspondent, Bernard Akele, reports.
This is the terrifying moment when Yemko School building in Ogba area of Lagos collapsed, sending dust and debris into the air. The three-story building, which housed the nursery, primary and secondary school section, has now been reduced to rubble. By the following morning, residents gathered around the site, many still struggling to comprehend how a structure they believed to be solid could suddenly cave in.
This school is a standard school, it's a good school. And the building is very solid, but we don't really know what happened. So because I was not around when it happened, I went to the ministry. So when I was on the way, they called me. This is what happened, and I said, no. When people I called, they said, no, it can't happen. That house is a very solid house.
Most eyewitnesses declined to speak on camera, saying they are still in shock. But one young resident who requested anonymity described the frantic moment after hearing rumors that the building might collapse. He says he immediately rushed to the school to get his siblings out.
I want to enter inside my house. I just hear something that is sounding because they told me that it's that man that king that is at the back of the school. I told them that the building is already collapsing from the back, that they should come and tell those children. As I hear the word, I just want to come outside, say, make I come carry my brother. This building just collapsed.
Officials of the Lagos State Emergency Management Agency say the absence of casualties was largely due to early warnings that prompted precautionary actions before the structure eventually failed.
When the relevant agency, the building controlling agency, the first responder agency knew that there is a defect in this building, they created alarm. They put in the alarm system, which we call early warning in emergency circle. After giving the early warning, they move in and seal the place up. Good for us that the people are aware of what was going on. So they stop activities on this building. They stop activities on this building and move the children away from this place. Okay, let's look, for argument's sake, if we have not provided, the relevant agency, the building controlling agency, have not enforced, have not provided early warning, and the people did not comply with the early warning, you can see the extent of mass casualty that we'll be experiencing here.
Security personnel remain stationed around the site, while staff and students have been seen returning to the area, many reflecting on the close call and expressing gratitude that the incident did not result in loss of life. The good news is that of the hundreds of students who attend the school, there were no human casualties. But the bad news, however, is that the losses suffered from this building collapse will be running into over hundreds of millions of naira, if not more. However, until the forensic testing and the results of the holistic test that will be carried out on this building is out, it will be almost impossible to determine what exactly may have led to the collapse of this building that residents here say has lasted the test of time. In Lagos for News Central, Bernard Akedi.
Really, it's sad to see that happen, because I just imagined the worst. That could have, imagine that the kids were not proactive, you know, that they weren't able to run out early enough. That could have ended a whole different way. I'm glad that, you know, no lives were lost. I just certainly hope that we don't see incidences like this happen again, not to individuals and certainly not to schools. I think that we also should start having a way to do structure checks, to ensure that we can see the integrity of, the integrity of the building, and where the building has failed to pass the integrity test, it should be brought down.
And there should be consequences for approvals when these buildings collapse, because people, they need to go back and check the history. Who did the soil test, X, Y, Z, so we can prevent these sorts of things from happening. It's not just say, oh, thank God, no lives were lost. Anything could have happened. At
the end of the day, all these things we are saying is aspire to Maguire until we start to see actions. The Executive Chairman and Chief Executive Officer of Presidential Initiative for Compressed Natural Gas Limited, Ismail Ahmed, has disclosed plans by the federal government to accelerate and expand access to compressed natural gas as an alternative to petrol and diesel. Ahmed says the President Bola Tinubu has continued to demand regular updates of measures being put in place to cushion the impact of rising global fuel prices, following tensions in the Middle East, by scaling up gas availability across Nigeria. He added that government is also fast-tracking infrastructure development, including 77 refueling stations and electric vehicle charging points along major corridors from Lokoja through Abuja, Kaduna, Zaria, and Kano to Maiduguri, while partnerships with local and international manufacturers are also being pursued to boost vehicle assembly, create jobs, and expand clean mobility nationwide.
Mandate that we should immediately deploy about 100,000 kits, that we are working with so many other stakeholders that would incentivize and get it into the market immediately and be able to convert a lot of vehicles and tricycles for people to be able to access gas. And then he also gave a directive that we must be able to fast track the infrastructure in bringing gas and CNG and electric mobility charging infrastructures to every part of the country, especially within the northern corridor, so that a lot of people will be able to access this. And that's what we are doing. And then we have about refueling stations, about 77, that are all in the different stages of being developed. In Kano right now, we have about 2 LCNG stations and about 5-6 daughter stations that are coming up as well. Along the corridors from Lokoja all the way to Abuja, Kaduna, Zaria, Kano, all the way to Maiduguri. These are all places that we are going to litter with a lot of refueling units.
All right, well, a lot of developing stories coming up, and there's so much more that we're going to look into. But, Benga, I'm sure we do have how we can look at the FCCPC concerning judicial interpretations of competition law. That's another story again.
And to help us shed more light on that, we have our correspondent live in the Federal Capital Territory, Joshua Marai. Good morning to you, Joshua.
Good morning to you, Benga.
Very well, thank you. Liz, can you keep us up to speed with what's going on with the, when it comes to judicial matters, your number one go-to person, yes, from Nnamdi Kanu to other issues. You have your pulse on the judiciary. So what's going on with the FCCPC's interpretation of competition law? Can you explain to Nigerians what this means?
Well, what the FCC is trying to do is intimate the judiciary, particularly on judicial interpretation of the act guiding the FCC. That's the FCCP 2018 Act. That particular act gave room and gave birth to the FCCPC and its operation. What they are trying to do is that we understand that the Nigerian market is in a state of constant flux. These technological changes, market-driven forces changing. All of these changes are what is making the FCC approach the Nigerian judiciary, particularly judges, to intimate them on perhaps the best global practices on how to interpret consumer protection law. You recall that there have been issues in the past where some litigants have been dragged to court, particularly on consumer rights. And what they are trying to do is let us know what the authority of the law says. What does the law say, and how should it be interpreted? And if there are changes that need to be effected on this law, they are saying that the judiciary is the place, the go-to place for these things to be done.
Okay, all right. We do understand that these laws are laws that many have said they seem to be refined, or better still, they needed to be reviewed. Can you share with us what the timelines are and what should Nigerians expect?
This law is gaining ground in Nigeria is 2018. Aside from them, no review of that particular law act has been affected. This has been the novel law for consumer protection, consumer rights protection in Nigeria. But to my understanding, what the FCCPC is trying to do is, if there are areas that needs to be touched from this particular law, it will be maybe giving audience to that particular meeting. It's a 3-day training, particularly between the judges and the FCCPC. The FCCPC is the enforcer of consumer rights in Nigeria, and the judiciary is where all these issues are trashed, where all issues concerning rights of individuals, rights of citizens, as well as statutes are to be reversed. So if there is any adjustment, the conversation from this meeting between the enforcers of the law and the interpreters of the law, that's the adjudicators, this is where the idea will be given birth to. Then maybe it will be forwarded to the National Assembly for effective adjustment, or perhaps a revision of the law could be done to accommodate trending issues that are more recent. Because for me, that particular law is quite old, 2018 to date, and there has not been any revision to that law. So if any revision should come out, it should be between this particular meeting between the judiciary and the enforcers of the law.
Okay, I know there's one critical aspect that Nigerians need to understand. While you hear of the FCCPC, of course, when it comes to consumer and competition, many would always look at the betting companies. The betting companies, I mean, oftentimes they know, they tell you you get this amount and so on and so forth. There have been complaints of people who have engaged in these betting, competitions and have won XYZ amount. Their monies weren't due, they weren't given to them. Is this also included in what the FCCPC is looking into? Because part of the things mentioned as well has to do with the judiciary. So will the judiciary be seen to step into situations like that? I mean, I know you may not have a full, hands-on on that aspect, but do you sense that this would also be on the front burner?
Particularly for the FCCPC, I don't think they have jurisdiction on betting and lottery law, because I understand that law falls within the scope of states. If I may recall, there have been arguments, particularly about who play bet and who plays bet on this website. And by chance, they've not been given their full earnings. And the first issue is this particular area of jurisdiction does not fall directly under the FCCPC, based on what I have discovered. They can give any other opinion with regards to this, but based on what we are seeing, it does not really fall under the scope of the FCCPC. What falls under the scope of the FCCPC is perhaps consumer rights, competition law, and equal fair market practices between competitors and the like. So that is the area that the FCCPC covers. And for betting law, I think it has to do with more of states' involvement in these laws.
Thank you very much, Joshua Imerai, SAN, Senior Advocate of News Central.
Nice.
We do appreciate your contribution.
Like wow,
like that. That's a new title going forward. Joshua Imerai, our senior, our SAN. So people say, is it SAN? But be careful, so that you don't enter the courts.
Or your SAN does not become San.
No, I'm a San.
Joshua, thank you for joining us this morning.
Joshua.
Thank you.
We'll go to a quick break, and when we come back, we'll be bringing you breakfast headlines on behalf of Oliver Modi. Hello, welcome to Breakfast Headlines. I am Benga Aborowa. We begin the news by telling you that the Iranian ambassador to the United Nations has accused the Security Council of ignoring what he calls a war crime after Iran said Israel killed 4 of its diplomats in a weekend strike on a Beirut hotel. Amir Iravani noted the council is turning a blind eye to the grave violation despite its primary responsibility under the UN Charter to maintain international peace and security.
It is deeply regrettable that Security Council continues to remain silent. The Council is turning a blind eye to this grave violation despite its primary responsibility under the UN Charter to maintain international peace and security. Instead, some Council members are attempting to reverse the roles and position of victims and aggressors. The targeted killing of diplomats on the territory of another sovereign state is a grave terrorist attack, a war crime and a flagrant violation of international law. It violates the UN Charter, the Vienna Convention on Diplomatic Relations, and the Convention on the Protection of Internationally Protected Persons.
Dangote Petroleum Refinery has reduced its petrol price by 100 naira, while diesel prices also recorded a downward adjustment. This is in a bid to cushion the effect of the fuel hike on Nigerians who are already lamenting the cost of transportation across the country. According to the latest pricing template from the refinery issued on March the 10th, 2026, the price of petrol at the country has been reduced by 100 naira, bringing it down to 1,075 naira per litre. From the earlier price of 1,175 naira per litre. The refinery has further stated that the price of premium motor spirit for coastal supply will now be set at 1,050 naira per litre, which accounts for a minor adjustment due to maritime distribution expenses. Also, the cost of automotive gas oil, otherwise known as diesel, has been lowered to 1,430 naira per litre at the gantry. This marks a reduction of 190 naira from the previous price of 1,620 naira per litre. We now move to judicial matters. Justice Joyce Abdul-Malik of the Federal High Court in Abuja has adjourned the case against the former Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice Abubakar Malami and his son Abdulaziz on terrorism financing to April the 15th. At the day's proceedings, counsel to the prosecution Akinlolu Kehinde, senior advocate of Nigeria, told the court that he had only recently received instructions to take over the case. He said he needed more time to interface with witnesses before the commencement of the trial. Counsel to the defendants, Shuaibu Arua, did not oppose the request for adjournment. In her ruling, Abdul-Malik granted the application and adjourned the matter to April the 15th and 16th for trial. The Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, has cautioned political parties ahead of the 2027 general elections, declaring that the primary election that excludes women will fail its regulatory test. This is coming amidst commemoration of International Women's Day. INEC Chairman Professor Joash Amopita was speaking during the visit of the Chief of Air Staff to INEC headquarters in Abuja, where he assured the Commission of the Air Force's readiness to support the airlift of electoral materials and provide surveillance during polls. INEC Chairman welcomed the partnership, noting that efficient logistics and security are critical to ensuring credible elections.
Of the Independent National Electoral Commission and all my colleagues, I want to extend our heartfelt gratitudes for the valuable partnership and support that the Nigerian Air Force has provided us, especially in ensuring logistics and security before and during our elections. Your efforts have played a crucial role in facilitating a smooth electoral process, reinforcing our collective commitment to safeguarding our democracy.
The relationship between the Nigerian Air Force and INEC has long been anchored on our shared commitment to national stability, professionalism, and the rule of law. The Nigerian Air Force considers this partnership with the Commission as an important contribution to safeguarding the integrity of Nigeria's democratic process. This engagement therefore provides an opportunity to further deepen the existing collaboration between the Commission and the Nigerian Air Force and reaffirm our collective resolve to support the successful conduct of elections across this great country. Additionally, the Nigerian Air Force stands ready to collaborate with other security agencies, including the Nigerian Police, in supporting the protection of critical electoral infrastructure such as INEC facilities, collation centers, and strategic logistics hubs. We also support strengthening interagency coordination and joint preparatory exercise.
And out to news across Africa. Authorities in Ghana say they have arrested 93 Nigerian nationals after alleged internet fraud and immigration violations in the capital, Accra. The Ghana Immigration Service said the suspects, made up of 91 men and 2 women, were arrested during an intelligence-led raid at Def Traco Estate. Officials say 73 victims who reportedly suffered abuse and torture were rescued during the operation and later repatriated to Nigerian authorities. To Nigeria, authorities also recovered laptops, mobile phones, counterfeit US dollar notes and fake gold bars believed to be linked to the operation. Investigators say some suspects entered Ghana through illegal border routes, while others allegedly overstayed the visa-free period granted under ECOWAS travel rules. That's all on Breakfast Headlines. Remember to send in your eyewitness report to the WhatsApp number on the screen. Do follow us on social media. We're at News Central TV. You can watch News Central live on DSTV channel 422, Go TV channel 23, StarTimes channel 274, AVO TV and YouTube. Many thanks for watching. I am Benga Aborowa. Breakfast Central continues shortly.
Welcome back. Breakfast Central is what you're watching. Time for the front pages of the newspapers. The phone lines are opened today, so do feel free. The numbers will be on the screen, so you can start calling. And let's get your thoughts or your input on some of the major stories. Just to announce to all those who live in Lagos, particularly those who are applying the routes of from mainland to the island or whichever, there is a traffic situation that has started at Otedola Bridge. The reason, a trailer did collapse, and then we also hear that there was another trailer that came to tow the first one, but there seemed to be a little challenge there. Double wahala for dead body. You know, that's.
But why always Otedola Bridge?
I think this time around is beyond the Otedola. I faced it. I had to go through the other route, inside Omole, to come out by under the bridge. Otherwise, when I on my Google, normal 25 journey was telling me 1 hour 30 minutes.
Wow!
And I'm like,
wow!
We really
appreciate the sacrifice.
Thank you so much,
and your dexterity to be able to make it
in the studio. Olive is out on an assignment, and let's hope that she gets there on time as well to be able to feed back into the newsroom. But in the meantime, welcome, Mr. Olusegun Okwade, for being here.
Always a pleasure to be with you. I wish this traffic we can just, maybe I will just add to it. This issue of Kara Bridge, I'm sure you are not too conversant with that road.
The expansion joint.
The expansion joint. How many of the time will government repeatedly be fixing that? I think we can find a permanent solution. Not too long when the road was done, the joint was actually fixed. I don't think it's up to 2 years.
They fixed the outbound. No,
that was done like traffic. Last month.
Yes.
Now they are fixing
inbound.
The one inbound. The challenge there is that can we have this thing for like 2, 3, 5 years that you won't have to come and revisit that particular thing. It creates a lot of bottlenecks
Can they
for
just
those
sacrifice
people.
one night and walk overnight?
That's
or 2
it.
nights.
The productive time that we lose on that particular road each time they are fixing that thing is unquantifiable.
When you talk about roads, you could also talk about the Lekki Ekpa Expressway. People are really, crying.
Going through
the only alternative route, which has been
compound with the issue of increase in price of fuel, so you have to burn everything.
The crowd.
Now you now see the guys fixing their Kickstarter all the time because you can't afford to just leave your car on for hours.
I even put off radio. I don't know whether radio is connected to petrol, but anything inner light, I turn everything off.
That's the wrong.
Petrol is gold.
That's the wrong. Thinking that the more you switch off and switch on, you conserve fuel. Apparently, the more you
are using more.
You are using more when you want to. Revs and takes more fuel. A lot of people don't have the understanding, but they just feel they need to save the fuel when the engine is not working.
Okay, all right. Let's look at this. Let's start off on the front pages. I beg your pardon. Let's start off with our very first paper. The first paper we're going to go to will be the Leadership newspaper. I was going to ask Mr. Sheikh Kwade right before that little slip up. Mr. Sheikh, I don't know if the cameras could come back to us in the studio. I don't really have. I'm still looking. I thought I had brought it to the studio. I wanted to raise my glass, this is a glass of water. Everything is about the context. I don't know if you
are you raising your glass to celebrate Mr. Daniel Bala's spectacular performance? He's been granting interviews after that.
Don't let
interview after the interview.
And you now look at yourself talking. What you say? Well, it's typical of an every politician who does not have a mind.
I saw a cartoon.
So where they brought his head with that's today you are here, and that's why we keep saying that majority of the politician lacks ideology. If you look at what is obtainable in developed climes, when you are a progressive, we all know what you stand for.
Yeah.
When you're a Democrat, we know what you stand for, and we can predict what becomes of you. It's different from this issue of. These are politicians of what do we eat. So anybody that is there, let's look for way to romance it. So today you are
what's on the menu?
Today you are causing the man that is a failure, is a this, is a that. You call him that.
As a militia.
And that same time you're saying you are never, of the understanding that the man will win the election. And the next minute you are like, it's devil that was actually using me there. I've given my life to Christ. Now,
and even I even said it this way, it would have been different. Back then, I didn't see.
It's ignorance, yeah.
I mean, the current ambassador to Mexico did speak in those terms. He said, I was ignorant, I didn't know. I now have new facts and I've changed my mind. And I mean, nobody's crucifying him because of that. Afterwards, he went to climb mountain in Kilimanjaro.
So it's just a typical of an average politicians. Anywhere the food day, we just look for a way to galvanize.
That's what we'll chop today.
Anywhere Beleface, any government in power.
Let's just see how we just play around it.
Okay, let's go straight to our papers, please. Let's start off with the Leadership newspaper. That's our very first newspaper for this morning. Matawale to Daud Alawal, I'll support your vision for Zamfara. He says, federal government begins evacuation of willing, they use the word willing Nigerians from Iran, according to NIDCOM. Turkey ready to increase bilateral trade with Nigeria, says envoy. Muftuang inaugurates 14-man advisory committee on state police. Petrol price hike. Tinubu orders deployment of 100,000 CNG kits as transport fares surge. And we have another one. Gumi, government knows name, location of every terrorist. We do have the video of Gumi saying this. We're going to play it, and we'd like Mr. Olusegun Okwade to speak on this concerning Sheikh Gumi, where he made that strong remark. After that, we do have other stories we'd like you to jump on. But first off, let's look at Sheikh Gumi, where he talked about government knowing the location and name of these terrorists.
Terrorists by name and by location. I don't go yellow. I don't go to the terrorists alone. I call the police, I call the security, everybody. I will go to the MES or that place. And for when we were going to one terrorist, I went to even with women with me. Go to the bush. The thing is, you didn't see it because the camera was not concentrated on it. I don't go hello.
Anyway, I'd like you to react to that story. And then you might also want to look at...
And also adding to the fact that he's not the first person to say this. The current governor of Zamfara State, Mr. Daud Alawal, who has just moved to the APC, also said this. He said he can see them. He knows where they are.
Sincerely speaking, it's a known fact that the guys attacking us are known practically to everyone, but this one is a big indictment on the government. The only distinction I cannot create now is that if this video is current, are you talking of the current administration or the previous administration? Where we know in the last administration it was very prominent, it was a business venture on his own part to negotiate on behalf of the government with the bandit. But be as that it may, it's a big indictment on the security agency if somebody is coming out like this. And what I keep asking myself is, this man speaks freely and he indicts the government and nothing is actually being done about it. So if somebody is saying I go with the police, I go with the security agency to discuss and liaise. So those things that the citizens are saying, that ransom at times are being paid to these people, how do we discredit this to say, no, it's actually not the truth? He has said his own part, and I don't think after this statement anybody has come to contest or to challenge the statement by Sheikh Gumi. But it speaks volume why a lot of people will tell you that this insecurity will continue, because when you know the people, and possibly to collaborate, the other time, UAE made mention that there are certain financiers of some of these terrorist groups. They have the names, and Lai Mohammed then of the previous administration said they have list of over 400 people that are actually, been enlisted as financiers. Up till today, I don't think we have 1, 2, 3 that have actually been found culpable of some of these acts. It speaks well, because you see, when we have this high level of insecurity, its impact on the growth of the nation. People cannot move freely. They cannot do what they feel they need to do at the time that they feel it is convenient for them, because they feel they are not just safe. We can see the impact on agricultural produce as we speak. The farmers are unable to. In fact, we are increasing the population of the IDP as against people that should be more productive on the farmland. It's enough so worrisome about what is actually going on. And that's why a lot of us have said, possibly with the new introduction and the statement by Mr. President and the new IGP of state policing, we can address this and let every state carry their own burden. And we know the state that people can go to for business growth, and the one that we need to just maybe keep in isolation. Maybe if they don't have, if the governor does not have people that reside in that area. And I can say this, that this insecurity we are actually talking about, if you look at the 36 states, inclusive of FCT, there seems to be relatively peace in most of the area. It's the area that are ungoverned. Like the last time when we had the attack that actually happened, you're talking of somebody driving as much as 6 hours to get to the location where that actually happened. You can definitely be sure with the level of governance that is not trickling down into the local government and the community, that those areas will not have police, they will not have health center, they will not have schools, they will not have the basic things that are actually, that can make life more meaningful to them. So I feel that with this, I'm expecting reaction from the security agency, whom the man has actually mentioned that they all go together. Is it that is from the authority, or it is the boys that actually, because at times in corporate organization, guys can decide to do something claiming to be representing the organization without the foreknowledge of their bosses.
Without approval.
Without approval. Is it in that area? It can be questioned. Who are the people that follow you? Do you have the approval of the management team or the organization themselves, or the agencies, to actually give them the backing to go ahead and do that? But it's a serious indictment, and he gives a blink that we are not ending this level of insecurity despite the commitment by the government.
Sad reality.
Yeah, we do have our correspondent who's joining us now. Let's see what's happening now. Chisom joins us. Currently, the fuel price hike is starting to destabilize Nigerians as they need to start factoring a new way of getting to work, moving around, going to the market. For those who are in a small, medium enterprises or small businesses, they also have to start factoring how they would keep their business running, because the cost of fuel that they actually got last month is no longer the same. So they have to start factoring ways to survive. Let's see, we'll have Chisom, who's joining us all the way from, I hear, the federal capital
in Abuja.
Yes, Abuja. Good morning, Chisom. What's happening, and where are you at the moment?
Good morning. I'm currently at the Bega Junction. I'm at the park here. You can see taxi drivers behind me. I actually have some of them that wanted to speak to me. We are finding out how this is also affecting them, because we've also been speaking with both commuters as well as drivers. There are complaints with, the different, the cadres. The drivers are saying that passengers are not agreeing to pay the fares, and passengers are saying it's too much. The fares should not have been increased. So I have Mr. George Wadike here with me. He's a taxi driver in this park, and he's going to speak to us how it has been for him this past couple of days. Hello, Mr. George.
Hello, how are you?
Very well, sir. So can you let us know, sir, how it has been since the new pricing fuel increase, and how it has affected you?
Anyway, thank you for drawing our attention as drivers, as one of the representatives to drivers. It has been so wonderful all the while, since 3 days ago, 4 days ago, because I've not been finding it easy myself, particularly. The fuel we used to buy at the rate of 700 and 800 and today is now 1,260 something, 1,460 something. So it has now come to double, and it's not affecting the passengers. When you ask passengers to pay double, they don't. So it remains that it has not been. We've not been getting anything from it. Most of us, because of that, have relented efforts to apply or to go to their normal driving duties. Cars are being parked here and there, and myself, if not because of, I decided not to stay at home. Apart from that, I would have stayed at home because it's affecting me seriously.
Thank you so much, Mr. George. You can hear it. It's quite chaotic here, so I'm just going to get back to you in the studio. But the voices are the same. Passengers are complaining. Drivers are complaining. They cannot meet up because of this sudden hike in the price of fuel. Back to you in the studio.
You go just to have an idea in terms of how much PMS is selling for in Abuja now. What's the current rate at the filling stations?
If I heard you correctly, you want to find out how much fuel is currently selling in fuel stations in Abuja. It's currently at 1,080 naira, 1,200 naira, as high as 1,400 in some places. Now, these are filling stations, not black markets at all, and these are the varying prices. But what I say the good thing is there is really no there's no fuel queues, well, except for stations selling at maybe 1,080 naira, then you'll find queues at those places. But aside from that, it's still generally, or rather, it's still just a little bit calm in situations like that.
Thank you so much, Chisam. We'll definitely reconnect with you in our subsequent bulletins. Thanks for that update. Mr. Sheson Kwande, how have you been coping with this new order?
Yeah,
yesterday, I asked
that story,
I asked Olive to help me price horses because it's cheaper to maintain than petrol. But now I heard they're expensive, so now I want to downgrade to donkey, aka kete kete.
Well, we may
like
not. You know, for the big men like Benga, the donkey and the horses will be there. Some of us are already looking at bicycle, so that we can make that.
Good, sir.
So that you use it as an exercise. And the only thing one should just be. You talked about your safety. Those cyclists now, my cyclist friends are saying, so we told you that you should come and join us. This is the period.
Those your big men cyclist friends. They have cars.
They have cars.
But let's talk about the petrol price hike, which happens to be one of the biggest stories in the country. They finally, the coordinating minister of the economy yesterday came out and said, spoke about the situation. He said they are monitoring it. But we too, we're ordinary Nigerians are monitoring. We're not asking you to monitor it. We're asking you to tell us what you're doing about the situation. Well, in doing something, the Presidential Committee on CNG has said they will distribute 100,000 CNG kits as transport fares surge. How much of a difference will this be as a palliative to Nigerians? I've noticed a pattern about this government. Anytime there's a crisis or something, it's either they deploy CNG kits or they say they have plans to expand more CNG stations or they distribute rice. This distribution of CNG kits, how much difference would it make in assuaging the fears of Nigerians and bringing succor to them?
Benga, let me first say, thank you, Mr. President, for this order. We acknowledge it, but I have an issue. We seem to be reactive to some of the things that we are faced with. The question is, these 100,000 CNG kits, are they in stock that we are now giving the order to give it out? What stopped us before now to have this in circulation?
Must you wait for a crisis?
That's my worry. Each time, why are we always reactive? Is it that we don't even trust the people we are handing them over to? That when we have it so much in circulation, it will flood the whole thing. If we have these 100,000 kits and we have a lot of vehicles already converted and being used, we would have seen a kind of relief, and people would have seen that, okay, this is the other way to go, not making use of the PMX or DPK as it may be applicable. So my worries here is that, can we just change our strategy of being reactive to issue and be proactive? If this thing have been in use before now, 100,000 of vehicles are already in CNG, the next thing you'll be thinking of is how do we increase this particular thing and make the alternative way of making things happen. I was with a friend yesterday and I was like, but what happened? You suddenly park the vehicle and you wind down, waiting for someone. He said, oh boy, not like it used to be. You know those days you can park your vehicle and wait for someone for like 30 minutes, 40 minutes, your AC is running, you're feeling cool. These days, oh boy, when you get home, you go and shower. You need to sweat. You don't need to be on that. I said now, because it's not just only on the commuters, even the workers. You need to know how much you need to use to fuel your vehicle before some of this. And it speaks volume to what a lot of analysts have been saying, and a lot of Nigerians, that if the government has been very intentional about fixing our refineries, I don't think we'll be where we are today. Why do we speak today? If we have 4 of the refineries functioning, plus Dangote, what we will definitely be having now is to have so much supply in circulation. And you know, when your supply outweighs your demand, definitely the price of that particular product will definitely crash and come down. If, as at now, what we are experiencing in the global space is a blessing, and a blessing to the government and a cost to the citizen. That is what we are actually faced with now, because more revenue are actually being generated. I think the cost at which we put the crude oil to the budget was about $67 or $70 dollar per barrel. Now you're already climbing above $100, between $90 to $100 per barrel, which should be more revenue on your part, which you can boast of. You know, during the time of IBB, when we have the Gulf War, we had so much. In fact, as a matter of fact, some people, when issues like this happen, my Yoruba people will say the talking drum are 2 sides of the coin. He's facing you and he's backing the other side. Yeah. So at this point, if we have our internal mechanism functioning well, we will call bluff and say the war should continue so that the price of crude oil should get to the climax, and tell those that intend to actually make traveling their hobby, stay internally. But because there are crises within, everybody wants. Do you think what happened in UAE when this crisis happened, where people were trapped and their government were able to say, please accommodate those that are supposed to travel, they could not travel, put them in your, let them overstay in their hotel, make provision of their feeding, the government will absorb it. That will not happen in my own continent. As a matter of fact, when they reschedule your flight, that is not, you are not privileged to, in a connecting flight, you are on your own. If you like, sleep at the airport and other. I feel this country is blessed. You can imagine if we have a refinery functioning as we speak, the surplusity of the fuel will definitely be there. The crude oil we are talking about. I want to acknowledge the good work of this administration, because I know when they came in, the production of crude oil was less than 1 million. And from what we heard, we've had about close to 1.6
OPEC quota.
OPEC quota of 1.8, and they've given the commitment that they will surpass to about 2.1, which is a plus. I give that to them. But can we have specific? A lot of us have asked the question: what is the average daily consumption of the PMX, DPK, AGO that we have in the country? Which we can look at, the petroleum experts can come out and tell us, with this average consumption that we have, this is the amount of, you know, crude oil you need to process to meet the domestic need. And we will now put the agency concerned to monitor, because part of the issues that a lot of people have been saying is that if you create that relief for us to domestically refine product and sell to us, a lot of people will be selling to the neighboring country at the price which it will not be more beneficiary to us.
Like what used to be obtainable
during subsidy era. Yeah. Can we now have, you know, KPIs for those agencies to man our border and allow the citizen to enjoy the benefit? As we speak, a lot of people have asked the question, what is our daily consumption look like? Can we have an engagement? Maybe the government has stake in Dangote to look how it can refine and make, you know, product available for we the citizen. In fact, to compound our problem,
is small.
Irrespective of how small it is, we will provide you with the crude. Give us the cost of refining it, and it will not be as bad as what we are facing.
And the Dangote group yesterday actually said they liaise with 48 other government agencies. So the price you're seeing at the pump price, 48 government agencies have also, they are paying some level of levies or taxes to them, from NIMASA to all sorts of. So these are things the government can waive. to give us some relief.
Even if you are not waiving it.
Okay, a moratorium.
You can give moratorium. And we've discovered that there are duplication, even in some of these levies that are being charged by this agency. That's why the NRS, now people are saying, we are glad you are consolidating the revenue. Not only taxes are you collecting, those that will pay at the port. I think I saw a particular news about the Bajabiamila coming up to say they are coming up where they have an integrated portal where every revenue will definitely be collected. So under the revenue collection, a directorate will not be collecting a levy, and another directorate is asking for same, because it's coming under one agency, which is the Nigerian Revenue Agency. So if we can reduce this liability that some of these agencies are paying, I think it will relieve. And above all, the moribund, the so-called moribund refinery, where turnaround maintenance is being paid, can we avail the private sector to see what they can do into this? You can have the PPP arrangement where government will have some stake, and you definitely see. We want to see, we are the only nation, as far as I'm concerned, Dangote refinery is not our refinery. It is an individual refinery.
Well, let me just speak on that as well, since you've started. First of all, let's mention that you can make a call. The phone numbers are on the screen there. Dangote himself has said that the Dangote refinery is an international refinery. It's not a Nigerian. It's not a Nigerian government-owned refinery.
Yeah.
Remember that just a few weeks ago, Dangote has also put the refinery up for sale in terms of shares and all that. And Dangote will also be going in for
considering doing an IPO.
An IPO. Yeah. Not just that, Dangote's MD has said that they only get 5 crude oil cargo out of 13. They need 13. They only get 5 from this. So they source
the others at international rates.
International rates. Yeah, we are conversant of that information out there.
The bigger problem again for me on the front page of that newspaper, so we can move into the next one, is the fact that the president has said that, listen, let's have deployment of 10,000 CNG kits.
100,000.
100,000, I beg your pardon. Let's be honest.
Are you ready to convert your car?
No, Benga, let me just say something here. Prior to this fuel incidents, Mr. Sheson, you said it, why are we reactive? Are you aware that the fuel stations that offer services for CNG are not much?
Since this administration started, I only know one.
I only know one just here.
Exactly.
Not far off.
And we live in different parts of the city.
As early as 5 a.m., there is a long queue there. I was opportunity to speak to one person who had converted his car, and in his words, he said, I regret it. Now, there's also the issue of unstable pricing. Now, the pricing, when they started, the federal government had said that the pricing on the CNG will be lesser than that of fuel. So they started with 100 and something. As we speak now, although when I spoke to that person, that individual, that was about 5 months ago, 6 months ago, I just walked into that queue. I was going to the eatery there, and I just asked. And the person said he regrets that as at then, they were buying for 300 and something. From 120 to 300 and something. How much is it going to be now that Nigeria has a gas problem? Cooking gas has gone up, by the way. So, didn't the presidency notice that Nigerians were saying this CNG is not working, people don't have enough kits? They said even the conversion kits, the process is herculean, it's tough. And now the president is saying, okay, deploy 100,000.
Almost like it's free.
Where are you going to?
Do you know the cost of conversion also?
Yeah, you see, my reaction to this is, in as much as the presidency claim they are making alternative in terms of this, there are no effective monitoring of some of the so-called, these 100,000 kits, by the time you even want to share it, does it actually go to the people that actually needed those things? Do we even, like you said, do we have enough facility around the country to accommodate? You know, for fuel now, a lot of us feel that the deregulation has actually given good thing. There are filling stations people don't patronize because if your gauge is not accurate and you are not selling at the right price, your 33,000 that you are going to buy will take you for the whole year. And somebody is out there is competition for people to do. But here we are with the CNG, For myself too, I think I only know one at Agidingbi Road here, which I am very conversant of. The rest, I have no knowledge. And you come tomorrow, the team set up, the task force or the committee managing this CNG will tell you that there are growth. How much of such communication do we have in the public space?
None.
We don't have it. Because if you and I, that are supposed to be privileged to those information, are not well informed about what is going on, they will tell you that you choose to read what you want to read. They are not out there. It should be on our face. If they are out there, Mr. President will not be reacting to say, okay, now give 100,000 out as a matter of urgency for us to actually do. So these are part of the problem I feel that we are faced with until we are proactive, you know. The major country where these crises are happening, except for the war that is killing them, they are not feeling the bite of what we are feeling, though. Because a lot of them have reserves. You know, US have reserves.
Yeah, but they are feeling the high prices. I mean,
not as much, not as much as what we're doing. They are not. They are not.
You know the funny thing, I like the fact. I love the conversations like this, because the truth is, you know, whether you like it or not, there is something called administrative budget.
Yeah.
No matter what happens, the cars that are meant to move around must be filled to the brim. Whether the prices go to 100,000 naira per litre, the governor's convoy, all those cars must be filled up because there's budget for it. But that's not all. The weaker part of this thing, I like the fact that the CNG conversation is back, is the fact that the federal government deemed it fit to pack some celebrities and took them to India.
God bless.
To see the way
encourage
it was done. Encourage Nigerians. But guess the sad part? The governors are not buying CNG cars.
Even those celebrities are not using.
Even the celebrities are not using CNG cars. Even the presidency, how many of them are using CNG cars?
You know, I said this, Joe. I think when the noise for this CNG conversion was out there, I said, can we have our leaders lead by example? Not do what I say, is do what I do. We should be able to have the impact. Let me speak as a finance person. Let's, at the local government, at the state government, come out to say our operating expense has actually reduced because of this. Then people will have a buy-in.
Exactly. Not
people will have a. You don't need to. You don't need to. Do you know that when people discover that this thing is actually moving and is cost efficient, why do people go and queue just for a difference of 20 naira on fuel? This filling station is selling as 1,080 naira. The next one is selling as 1,075 naira. That's 5 naira different. You will see queue here. This one will be struggling. It's only the big boys that will feel that the 5 naira does not count. An average guy that is driving Okada, that is driving a bus, that the lower cadre guys that are managing their car for themselves will go to that 1,075 naira big, and they don't mind to queue because of that 5 naira. So if indeed majority of the government agency and government themselves are patronizing this CNG stuff, we should have seen a reflection where we would have seen them come on air. We would have seen people from Lagos State, Ogun State, Oyo State, Kaduna State come on here, engage and say, you need to just see this thing, this initiative by Mr. President. But because they know themselves that the complaint we are given, they don't want to go into that route. Mr. Governor must be everywhere. So it's not an idea of Mr. Governor or even the commissioner, how they fuel that vehicle. It is the boys, because the itinerary of the protocol officer is that these are things that Mr. Governor or Mr. Commissioner or the SSA needs to do for that particular day. He cares less whether you are going to fill it with CNG or even with the other thing. If we are not seeing the impact, then definitely what you are telling the people is that do what I say and not what I do. You must lead by example, and we must have specific. Let's have people, engage people on this platform to say, we represent, as government, these are things that we have done, and these are the value that we've gotten. 40% of our vehicle, as we speak, are on CNG, and this is the impact in the last. There are comparison analysis when it comes to finance. When we were 100% on PMX and DPK, this is what it used to be. In the last 1 year, After converting 14% of what it is, this is where we are.
Even in the line items of government parasitos,
exactly,
agencies,
budget.
not a single person in the Senate said that this is what we're budgeting for CNG kits or CNG conversion.
Nothing.
So the government is just
so it can't be
buy into it.
So as far as this 100 kit is released to the public, people are just be saying, "Thank you, Mr. President. It's meant for your." Let this 100,000 be used by the people in Senate, in House of Rep, the governor. Share it for them so that they can create relief. I will give kudos maybe to Lagos State. Why the civil servant? I'm sure a lot of states that do not have provision for logistics for their staff. Now, you know, government work before, how many people they go work. Why we see a lot of people who come to work in Lagos is because majority of the staff, the government have made provision. You need to go to, and I give it to Lagos State. I give it to Lagos State. Each time I'm at Alausa or at any of it, you see that blue and white buses. A lot of, I ask myself, both sitting, standing, coming from far distance every day. That's enough relief for you as, you know, staff. How many of the organization can boast of, those days they used to use staff bus. A lot of people no longer use staff buses so because they can't maintain it. And those that have actually been contracted out, how many of them can sustain the cost? So let the government do more of, do what I do. I am a proud ambassador of this. Then everybody will see, buy into it, and we'll see those things working. Not just do what I say and not what I do. That will not actually work for us.
Okay. I think we're out of time.
Okay, I think we should look at the PDP story because PDP held sway for 16 years.
It's 9:50. Okay. You know, I think today's paper is quite a funny one because our minds were really focused on these two major stories.
No, that's what impact on the people. There is no discussion that is going on anywhere. Yeah. I was at the club yesterday, and what everybody is discussing about how this friend they hammer you now.
Before they think it's nightclub.
It's not nightclub now. It's the golf club now. Just to go and carry my exercise. And there is a discussion everybody is actually having and saying, to drive all the way from Lekki down here, I know what it will cost. And I feel for you that move from island to mainland on daily basis. On the part of the organization, I can tell you, it's vital because a lot of people will say, but our organization should know what we are facing now and do something for us. Go and ask there. I told my staff.
Can they also appeal to Nigerian police checkpoints?
Can they also
cannot be burning petrol, waiting for VIO, all these people, they should first rest. Everybody, everywhere is hot.
Maybe, I'm sure they are hearing. They should know that things are not, it's not, things are not smiling. Checkpoint, we know they actually needs to, you know, provide, but we should do it with this decency that will relieve the burden. I can imagine when you have to stay 30 minutes, 40 minutes on a journey of 10, 15 minutes. It doesn't actually make sense. In some of the things they are doing. I think that's the issue.
The scenes you're seeing on the screen there is your Tedola bridge incident, the traffic that has caused massive traffic, and people are not able to commute freely. Good enough, we do have the road transport management team. They are there from LASMA to the likes. And by the way, that's a Musk container. Let me also announce that internationally, Musk has said they will stop shipping their containers after the Iran and the US and Israel war. That's a different conversation.
It won't be passing through the Straits of
Hormuz. Not just that. They're even going to stop, you know, globally. They're also looking at that. That's a story I was going through yesterday.
And Joe, please give kudos to Lagos State.
Yes.
This LRU, if it is some states, if before now, you will wait for like 3-4 days before you get this thing off the road. But with the advent of this LRU, their response has been very, you know, very fantastic. I'm sure in the next 1 hour we'll diffuse that area. I only pity those that bought 5,000
fuel. Turned off their engine.
5,000 fuel and
there's no movement. You would have turned off your engine.
Anyway,
and even this is why, I mean, look at China, the EV revolution. I might just invest in getting an electric car. But in doing that, if they don't change the current Minister of Power, I will have to put generator in my car.
Is it? We have asked him that Mr. President should support his ambition and allow him to go and concentrate on the gubernatorial.
We have to go. Tomorrow we'll find out how many ministers are planning to drop their portfolio and office. They are getting into politics. They're about 3 to 4 now. The numbers are increasing. We'll share all of that with you tomorrow. Thanks for watching. My name is Joe Hansen.
And I'm Benga Borough.
We'll see you guys tomorrow.
Bye-bye.